of the La Verdad Stakes. And that is the filly to beat, Bank Sting, odds on 3-5 morning line favorite. Like La Verdad, she doesn't lose much. 5 of 7 overall, including last month's daylight stroll in the Staten Island. And in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Oaklawn Park. Welcome back, Full Impact. He turned 5 yesterday, hasn't raced in nearly 14 months. In fact, he's only won twice in his career. So why is he favored in today's Oaklawn feature? Because when he does run, he runs fast and he wins. Great to have you with us on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. There she is, the terrific late mare, La Verdad, right after she won the 2015 Distaff here at Aqueduct. And welcome, everyone, to the Big A. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Yesterday was a lot of fun. The pair of Kentucky Derby qualifying races, Cavassier winning the Jerome here, Dash attacking the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn Park. Today, it's a completely different brand of feature races. It's all about speed. It's all about sprints. Full Impact, the headliner in the $100,000 sprint at Oaklawn, and New York-bred filly and mare sprinters in the La Verdad here at Aqueduct. Take a look at the field for the 5th running of the La Verdad. That's coming up. Compact field of 5. 7/8 of a mile extended sprint, $100,000 purse. Number 4, Bank Sting, odds on morning line favorite at 3-5. As I welcome in my co-host, New York Racing Association analyst, Andy Serling. We could spend the next 2 hours just talking about La Verdad and her career, what she accomplished. Let's start with the favorite, though, in Bank Sting. Why is she considered such an overwhelming favorite going in?
Well, I mean, odds are based not just on the talent. They're not really based on specifically the talents of a horse. They're based on the relative talent of horses. And Bank Sting is a nice horse. She comes off a perfect trip win, but she runs by her figures when she runs well in the high 80s. She's run well in wet tracks before. She has speed. She's going to be forwardly placed in this race. She's not facing the kind of speed that she had a rate behind last time. She's just faster than these horses. I mean, I'd like to take 3-5 right now that she's under 3-5. I mean, sometimes the racetrack horses just look too good to you, and those are the kind of horses I look to try to beat. The problem is the horse outside of her, who is the one horse that's run races in the past that's fast enough to beat her. She does not have good recent form. That's let me take this call. And her recent form on wet tracks is not particularly good. Whereas Bank Sting, she might not win, but she's not going to probably lose because she didn't like the going today. She's handled it with aplomb in the past. Sometimes horses look too good and you get a little bit nervous, and I'm not running the window to bet against them. But, you try to beat favorites as a player, as a handicapper, but that doesn't mean you throw out favorites and just say, I'm going to bet somebody else. You've got to understand when a favorite's kind of unbeatable, and on paper, she's unbeatable.
Tough to fault in today's La Verdad Bank Sting, and when she wins, she wins big. Those 5 wins by a combined 18.5 lengths. Bank Sting, strictly the one to beat in the La Verdad. Let's take a look at today's schedule, brought to you by Claiborne Farm. Late pick 4 time at Aqueduct, races 6 through 9. The 6th race you'll see in about 14 minutes. Bank Sting, clearly the poster girl of this afternoon of racing. La Verdad is the 8th race on the program. Track currently listed as muddy. Oaklawn Park, 6 races. Late pick 4 gets started in the 6th race, featured sprint with Full Impact in race number 8. Just hanging out watching the races, thinking about playing, but don't have an account? This would be a good day to sign up because we're giving you $25 to sign up. We don't do this every show. You join now at NYRABets.com. You're going to use that promo code FREE25 if you win. You keep it, lose it, it's on us. Join now at NYRABets.com to earn that $25 free play. Tending to this wet track, tractors in between races. We're getting to the live racing. Field for the 6th, start of the late pick 4. Experienced runners, experienced New York bred claiming fillies and mares. 8 runners, 257 combined starts, and that was the favorite you were looking at, Fair Regis. 5-2 currently with about 13 minutes to post. So we say hello to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Maggie Wolfendale, New York Racing Association analyst. She will be joining us for a Paddock report very shortly. So if it sounds like we're stretching, it's because we are. Andy, who'd you wind up with in this 6 races the horses are in the paddock?
I picked Fair Regis, but I felt a little bit remiss because if I had really reviewed it a lot, considering how well Speed has done, I probably prefer Violent Point, the 5, at a slightly better price. Fair Regis is fine. She can win. And you know Trevor McCarthy's going to spend as much time inside, which has been the best place to be. So I do think she can win. I don't love her at a short price. I think Quality Stone's going to go to the lead, but I don't like her in here. And Violent Point's going to stalk her. So the 1 and 5, they'd be the 2 horses I'd use to start the late pick 4.
In 12 minutes, you will hear from Maggie when we come back. Just getting started on America's Day at the Races. Late pick 4 time at Aqueduct. Great to have you with us. The 6th riders up in a post parade. Maggie's Paddock Report is next.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. Like their sire, his runners have excelled on both dirt and turf, including these standout performers.
Leading by 3, Gibberish and Dylan Davis.
Out of a Galileo mare, this dual surface star has sired juvenile stakes winners on both dirt and turf. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Watching the races, don't have past performances? Equibase has you covered. You follow along, get all the stats and all the horses, trainers, jockeys in today's races with free Equibase past performances. Visit NYRA.com/TV schedule to download your free PPs on all the races. On today's show, late pick 4 starts here. You see the updated odds. New York breds, $25,000 claimer, 6 furlong sprint, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and older. And now we have Maggie Wolfendale, New York Racing Association analyst. The first time we've seen her this weekend. Maggie, welcome back. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Lafitte, and always a pleasure to be on with you and Andy as we'll take a look at a few of the mares here in the paddock, beginning with number 5, Violent Point. Now, she's been a scratch as of late for Linda Rice. One listed as a steward's scratch back on December 11th, the next as a trainer back on December 19th. Now, she comes in here off, just the slightest of freshenings, 2 months since we've last seen her at the races. She looks incredibly fit, typical Violent Point, looks ready to go, engaged here in the paddock, forward and on the muscle. She does show up wearing the front wraps as she has in the past. So she is a horse, too, that I've always thought can handle wet track. She looks like that wet track of type of horse because she's smaller, she's handier, and 2, because she typically has a preference for the turf, these sealed tracks will mimic that, and they tend to get over it quite nicely. As number 6, Buston Bay, interesting pickup here for Rob Falcone, who's having a great Aqueduct meet so far this winter meet, including a stakes win 2 days ago. As Buston Bay picked her up for 12.5, typically a horse that actually is very lively in the paddock. That That's not the case necessarily today. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. She looks healthy, as she typically does too. She's one that keeps those front wraps on again for this wet track race. But Lafitte, I think these two, the ones making the most favorable impressions here in the paddock.
Positive vibes. Buston Bay, 9-2 currently. What are you laughing at?
You.
Because you keep trying to jinx my flight back home, asking me if it's been canceled.
Listen, you can sleep on my couch if you want, if things, if your flight gets canceled.
The terminal sounds just fine to me. Thanks.
Probably more comfortable than my couch, actually. I need a new couch.
Beg to differ. Buston Bay.
Having spent your time at airport terminals overnight, discuss that.
Claimed off of this effort, Buston Bay, and a daylight wire-to-wire score here at Aqueduct Lake November.
Right. These are the kind of horses that players that in general look to play against. And listen, to be fair, she's a big price right now at 9-2. So, and I don't like her at 9-2, but she beat a much weaker field while riding a very strong inside bias and taking advantage of that, and still ran a credible race. But she was claimed from Juan Vasquez, whose horses have been running extremely well, and so have Rob Falcone. And Rob Falcone claimed this horse, but she's running against better horses, and she's not the speed here. And she's outside. So she doesn't project to get nearly the same kind of favorable trip she got last time against better horses. So not a kind of horse I would ever bet on. I mean, these are the kind of horses I bet against. Like I said, she's 4-1 right now. She's not a super short price. And I don't totally trust my horse Fair Regis. I like Violent Point. I think she's going to stalk the speed of Quality Stones, and I'm hoping that that's good enough. We've seen some stalkers do okay.
Violent Point. Here is Fair Regis. Take a look at her best effort. This was in late October. Belmont, Fair Regis chasing Spun Dayton that afternoon.
Yeah, I was a bit negligent to leave her on top because I was hoping the track would be dry. And, of course, this is not the track maintenance crew's fault. We've got about a foot of rain over the last 4 days. She ran well. If she ran this race, she would win. And she does draw well on the inside. One thing about Trevor McCarthy, he's aware that if you're going to close, and he won the third race today from well back. He won yesterday's last race from well back, but both of them, and I talked about it, he saved ground as much as he could. And he said, as long as you stay on the rail for a significant race, gives you a chance for your horse to at least not be compromised by being wide.
Excellent effort on that afternoon. Just ran into a faster filly. If she runs that race today, as you mentioned, look out. Fair Regis, and for that reason, the tepid favorite. 3-1 post-parade time. Another look, Fair Regis, 8-year-old mare, 53rd career start.
She's had her chances. She likes second more than first with 11 wins in 17 seconds, but still, 11 wins is nothing to sneeze at.
Jackie Davis takes over on My Girl Annie, takes over for Jorge Vargas, who did test positive for COVID-19. Number 3, Quality Stones, Dylan Davis with some live mounts, including Black Sting and the Verdad.
I'm a big Jackie Davis fan. I like Jackie. I think she's a good rider, too. Dylan's going to go to the lead with Quality Stones. This racetrack could carry her. She'll need all the help she can get from the racetrack.
Diva Banker, owned and trained by Ray Handel.
Ray's looking to win back-to-back races after a nice maiden breaker with Constitution Lawyer. She's a horse who had very good form. It seems to have eluded her.
You like Violent Point?
I do. I picked the one. I have to stay. I'm a public handicapper, essentially. I have to stay with my picks. But I think Violent Point might be more likely to win than my top selection, the one.
Saw Buston Bay, 7-2, Allure Fortune, and yesterday's Jerome winning jockey, Jose Ortiz.
Yeah, talked to Jose a little bit earlier. She's been running against a little bit lesser up at Finger Lakes.
Okay, honey. 6-year-old mare, 57th lifetime start.
Not surprised she's taking some money. She likes a wet track. She's run races good enough to win here. Here's the problem. She doesn't have speed in here, and she has an outside post. So she doesn't figure to get a particularly favorable trip on a track that's kind of the inside and to speed. So if this was a fair racetrack, I could consider her in this race. She's run some races good enough in the past.
A competitive race.
It is. One of the reasons it's competitive is, who do you trust? It's not like the 5 is so trustworthy. It's not like the 1's trustworthy. I mean, who is, there's 3 7-2 shots on the board right now. You don't see that very often.
Runners for the first race of the show. Started the late pick four at Aqueduct in 3 minutes. So you look at Fair Regis.
It's interesting. The 6 is a heavy favorite in doubles.
Huh.
We don't have the same correlations that we have between the win pool and the double pool. But if they were correlated, she'd be about 9-5 in here.
Maggie, what are you noticing from Fair Regis as she left the paddock post-parade and now continues to warm up?
Well, this is her first start off the layoff. The last time I saw her was that first start off the bench, and she ran a lot better than I thought she would because she just didn't look really strong. You know, a lot of times with these older horses, when they come back, well, they'll look fit from the leanness perspective. They just look as though they need to strengthen, especially across the top line. And she looked that way that day, that she would benefit from a race, and she certainly has with, you know, 2 subsequent starts after that. So much stronger. Coat has vastly improved, but she hasn't yet to run back to that effort back in October at Belmont. But I like the way that Trevor McCarthy's warming her up today. It's an energetic warm-up. He knows that he has to keep her at least intact with this field to be successful, though she is pulling her 3rd consecutive wet track. And she, at least as of now, as an older 8-year-old mare, sometimes they say, you know what, I just don't necessarily love the wet going anymore, and will kind of show a preference to a fast track. I do like what I'm seeing, though, from the warm-up here with number 5, Violent Point, Lafitte, and she's ultimately going to be my pick and selection in here.
Violent Point, Kendrick Carmouche at 4-1 for Linda Rice. Over the last couple of days, Andy, that's been the overarching theme. The track here at Aqueduct, you touched on it while previewing the La Verdad at the top of the show. What is the biggest difference? What have you noticed in terms of how it's playing versus how it played Friday and Saturday?
I mean, we have seen some horses make some runs in some of the races, but I still think you're dealing with a track where it's very hard to make outside runs and it's very hard to close. I mean, and if you're closing, you better be spending a lot of the time on the rail. It's really a track that to me, they're difficult tracks to play while the races are going on, but they're great tracks for getting trips for betting horses going forward, because you'll see take the favorite in this race. In my opinion, as a handicapper, the 6 is completely dressed up off its last race because the race looks a lot better than it is because the racetrack helped the horse. So to me, this is a horse that probably should be about 6-1 in here and is going to be a fraction of that. Now, listen, doesn't mean these horses can't win, and it doesn't always work out, but over time it does work out well. So you're going to see a lot of horses that have good running lines that were perhaps a little bit phony, and some very bad running lines. And especially on wet tracks and biases, you get really exaggerated bad performances. And horses that really have a viable excuse, you know, not I'm just going to throw that race out, a really viable excuse. And you'll get better prices the next time they run. So you can make money. But for me, biases are much better for betting horses back than they are actually for betting horses on a given day, because you're going to have to get the right circumstances.
There are times you can legitimately just, quote, draw a line through a race. You saw Quality Stones, Dylan Davis, as we mentioned, some live mounts to close out the Sunday program. He'll ride Bank Sting, odds-on favorite for the La Verdad. You see the selections from Andy and Maggie. Fair Regis, Maggie with Violent Point. Another look at Bustin Bay and a hunch play, Marshawn Lynch fans, owned by Beast Mode Racing, LLC. Now at 5-2 as we've reached post time, and we'll give you a few extra moments to get down with this late pick 4.
What is the hunch with Beast? With
Marshawn
Beast?
Lynch.
He was
Beast
a football
mode.
player? Football player?
Running back with the Seattle Seahawks. Played for the Raiders. I think, where did Marshawn Lynch go to college?
You're going to have to leave if you don't know the answers.
You're
sitting here with a guy who had a 15...
You know, he went to Berkeley.
I had a 15-minute
which is
conversation.
why it was so special for him to go play for the Raiders in Oakland when they were in Oakland.
Was he good?
You couldn't tackle him.
I couldn't tackle
you couldn't tackle him.
anybody.
All right, so I mean, you're from... Did you ever watch John Riggins?
I did watch John Riggins.
Okay, he was like that type of physical...
Earl Campbell.
All
I loved
11
Earl Campbell.
defenders on his back, and he would carry him.
Okay.
Beast mode. He would eat Skittles. That was his...
About
that was his
15 or
trademark.
20 years ago, I had a 15-minute conversation with Michael Strahan and had no idea who he was. That's who you're sitting
and
here with.
You're from New York.
Right. My friend told me who he was afterwards, and I knew who he was. I just didn't realize when I was talking to him. He was very nice, by the way.
You know how many... I mean, this is Aqueduct. You know how many Giant fans you just, insulted?
I didn't mean it as an insult. It's just, he didn't know who I was either, and I didn't take it badly.
You know who Michael Strahan was. Going to take a moment to process all of that. But Beast Mode Racing does own Bustin Bay, who is 5-2 in the favorite. Fair Regis at 7-2 as they step forward. Trevor McCarthy has that Star Wars blast shield thing go in there. You know what Star Wars is, right, Andy?
I do know what Star Wars is. There's a lot of them, right?
There have been a few.
I saw the early ones when I was a child before you were born.
He has the shield going.
Darth Vader lives in my building.
I'm sitting next to Darth Vader.
Darth Vader lives in my building. I'm not kidding.
My girl Annie steps forward. Again, this is going to take a few moments to process. Start of the late, pick 4. All set for the 6 from Aqueduct. John Ambriel with the loading call of Race 6 live from the Big A. Wow.
Ready for the start of race 6. And they're off. It is a Violent Point, and now Quality Stones moves up. Quality Stones has a narrow lead with Violent Point right there in second. Allure Fortune is on the outside in third. Boston Bay is next in fourth. It's 2 lengths back to My Girl Annie, who runs in fifth. Now passed on the outside by Diva Banker. Down at the rail is Fair Regis, and Okay Honey trails the field in eighth. The opening quarter 22-1. Quality Stones leads by a head. Violent Point on the outside is in second. Just in behind is a Boston Bay down at the rail. And on the outside, Allure Fortune. Diva Banker runs in fifth as the field comes for the top of the stretch. Violent Point on the outside and Quality Stones on the inside. They are right together. Boston Bay now looks to rally down at the rail. Here comes Boston Bay up now to grab the lead from Quality Stones. Violent Point back running in third. Fair Regis now in fourth. Diva Banker out in the middle of the track. The leader is Boston Bay, who's got a 5-length lead. Boston Bay busted it open at the 8th pole, and one going away. Boston Bay over Fair Regis and Okay Honey.
Beast mode, Andy. Beast mode. Boston Bay, Jose Liscano, and Robert Falcone. Wow. First after the claim, another one at Aqueduct.
The rail has been very, very good to this horse. And it was an excellent ride by Jose Liscano. He's had the speed to be up front, but he got in position. But more importantly, he went over the inside. And when the leaders drifted,
look at that trip.
He just opened up and won fastly here, getting it done. Not a horse I would ever bet on. Not a horse I like. Picked it third, but believe me, it was a distant third for me. And I was wrong. She got the money and got it quite easily.
Builds that cushion. Liscano goes to work. Boston Bay responds. 5 lengths. Fair Regis coming up the fence, closing late.
Yes, if you need a little bit of proof how good the rail is, just watch that race. Was that Okay Honey closing the outside? She actually ran well to be third because she was really against it, wide and against the track. She actually ran very well in there.
6-1-8-4 Boston Bay. Beast mode racing. Robert Falcone, Jose Liscano. 2 straight. Boston Bay. Results when we return. Also, in case you missed it, recapping yesterday's Derby qualifying races. Cavassier, winner of the Jerome. And at Oaklawn Dash Attack, least experienced, proves fastest of all in the Smarty Jones.
I bought a Tapper colt at the Keeneland September sale and incredibly excited about that purchase. It was a colt that had plenty of size and scope and carried himself with a real presence that drew me to him.
I bought a Tapper colt out of Black Coronas at the Phasing 5th in July sale, out of a Curlin mare, big beautiful horse. We're real excited about him coming up in the spring.
Taprit, standing at Gainesway.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Sobomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. The good magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Magic's in front.
Blood Horse Plus, available through bloodhorse.com, provides exclusive, timely, and unmatched content to subscribers, including Fox Sports, Blood Horse branded weekly programs, a detailed stakes winners section, behind-the-scenes videos from Blood Horse staff, on-demand access to deeper horse statistics, and a $5 monthly credit to equineline.com. Upgrade to Blood Horse Plus today.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, as always, brought to you in part by Hill & Dale at Alapa. First start from Oaklawn shortly. Let's clean up Aqueduct's 6th race, kicking off the late pick 4 with Bustin Bay and back-to-back wins.
Rob Falcone is on a monster run. It seems like his horses are running extremely well, but this was also a very cagey ride by Jose Lezcano. An open-length winner, clearly the best horse, but it doesn't help when your rider is paying as much attention as Jose is, getting that good position behind the pace setters who just aren't that good. Pace was quick, came right through on the rail, and the 1-2 finishers, albeit distance apart, both rode the rail.
On the inside, Fair Regis, as you mentioned, solid run from OK Honey against the grain, completing the trifecta. Bustin Bay, that's 3 starts on wet tracks, 2 wins, 680. Bustin Bay over Fair Regis and OK Honey, 618. And a late pick 5 with a pool just over $250,000. Constitutional Lawyer, and now Bustin Bay, 680.
I would be dead in this pick 5 that I played. I played the pick 4. I am dead.
Better races ahead for you. I promise.
Do you?
I do.
You promise?
Maybe this one.
Okay.
Maybe.
I like the favorite. Sorry.
Do you like the favorite here?
She looks pretty good, doesn't she?
I wonder what Gary Stevens thinks. The Hall of Fame jockey on site at Oaklawn Park as we get set for this 4th race at Oaklawn Park. Gary Stevens standing by. Gary, before we get to this 4th race, what about the weather, the conditions, the track? What are we dealing with today at Oaklawn Park?
Lafitte, it's cold. Super cold. It was about 22 degrees this morning. It said it felt like it was 15, and it still feels like that. Track conditions are really unbelievably good compared to what I thought it was going to be this morning. This is a national park land that we're on, so not allowed to put chemicals on this track to keep it from freezing. So the tractor crews were busy all night long last night and into this morning. They did not open the track up for training so the tractors could continue to work this racetrack, and they've done a good job. The only thing is it's muddy and it's heavy mud, sort of a peanut butter kind of texture, and the times are off by about 3 seconds right now as compared to the same times yesterday distance-wise, but those were lower class races. In the 3rd race, these are higher class horses right here. Speaking of Joy's Rocket, she's coming out of a grade 2 Raven run at Keeneland Racecourse where she was beaten ahead last time, and the odds right now 3-2 on her. They're making this a 2-horse race between Joy's Rocket, the 3-horse, and the 1 Perfect Happiness at 9-5 right now. But listen, on types of tracks like they're running on right now, they're tiring, and there's going to be some big prices come in, is my feeling throughout the afternoon. Guys?
Going to be tough. Dealing with muddy tracks at Aqueduct and here at Oaklawn as well. Joy's Rocket, who is the favorite as they file into line. Any final thoughts for this one, Andy?
I don't know if the 1. I mean, the 1's probably the other likeliest, second likeliest horse, but I thought the 4 and 2 had slight chances beyond Joy's Rocket. We'll see.
Locked and loaded. Vic Stauffer standing by live. 4th race, Oaklawn.
They're off. Wildwood's Beauty and Headland to break best. Jetsaginin away in 3rd. Perfect Happiness and Joy's Rocket away 4th and 5th, and the early trailer is Kendra. Headland kept way to the center of the racetrack. There's enough room for a couple of horses if they want to go through, and Joy's Rocket does to go through and challenge. Meanwhile, Wildwood's Beauty is on the outside, and Wildwood's Beauty is going to take the lead 3/4 of a length. Headland is second. Now Joy's Rocket angles outside of that one and takes 2nd and 2 from the front. Meanwhile, Perfect Happiness is at the rail. She's joined by Jetsaginin. They're both about 3 from the front. Candura is the trailer, and Wildwood's Beauty is the leader. Wildwood's Beauty at the top of the stretch, a 2-length advantage over Joy's Rocket in second. Now Perfect Happiness is unwinding, and here's Perfect Happiness to join Joy's Rocket, and she's after Wildwood's Beauty, and you better take a look at Perfect Happiness. She's within a length of the lead. Wildwood's Beauty has the lead. Perfect Happiness alongside in second. Candura is running a big one in the center. These three, Wildwood's Beauty, Perfect Happiness, trying to forge by, but Wildwood's Beauty is tough to get by. Perfect Happiness, Wildwood's Beauty. Wildwood's Beauty beat Perfect Happiness and Candura. Close for fourth, maybe Jetsaginin.
Wildwood's Beauty, another win. Francisco Arrieta out at Oaklawn Park, able to repel this late charge from Perfect Happiness in Florent Giroux, and Joy's Rocket, the favorite, spinning her wheels midway around the far turn.
I agree. You do feel like Joy's Rocket may not have handled this track very well, but you have to like Francisco Arrieta's riding because he really took advantage of sort of surprisingly unaggressive rides by some others, particularly the 1 and 3, two horses that naturally are probably quicker than Wildwood's Beauty. Well, Wildwood's Beauty and Francisco Arrieta, coming off a layoff or not, she was ready, he was aggressive, and she wired the field. Nice win by her. The one Perfect Happiness ran well to be second, just not quite good enough. And Candura, the long shot off the layoff for Jerry Hollendorfer, ran a good third.
Fresh Horses ran well. Over 2 years since her last win. Wildwood's Beauty. Unraced since last spring's Carousel, and she finished fourth. Scott Becker had her ready today. Wildwood's Beauty winning at Oaklawn, not Aqueduct. Here at Aqueduct, when we come back, we still have our Sunday feature, winding down New Year's weekend, the La Verdad. But the 7th race coming up next, post time in 18 minutes. Horses will be in the paddock when they complete that journey. Stay tuned.
Smile Happy was a TDN rising star following his maiden win at Keeneland. From there, he captured the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes to remain undefeated and earning points toward the Kentucky Derby. In future Pool 1, Smile Happy was individual leader by lowest odds. Among the top of his crop by stakes winners and earnings, Run Happy continues his rise and is priced for success. Call today and book your mare to Red Hot Sire Run Happy, standing in legendary Stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to Aqueduct Racetrack. America's a day at the races. Live coverage continuing from Aqueduct here in South Ozone Park. 7th race coming up. 8th race is the feature La Verdad. First things first, this $16,000 claiming event. Non-winners to lifetime, all for sale, all one for something. 6-furlong sprint. Fillies and mares, scratch numbers 3, 4, and 9. Tangoberg at 2-1, drawn inside now 9-5. Andy, what'd you come up with here?
I'm embarrassed to say I picked Tangoberg.
Why are you embarrassed?
Well, taking a horse who's favored in this field feels like sort of a disgraceful selection on my part. She's supposed to be the inside speed. I mean, even Eric Cancel, who is allergic to the lead, can't rate the speed from the inside, can he? And she's supposed to go. She's also just, she's 1 for 2. And when you start looking through this field, did you do the math? It looks like you've got an average about 1 for 12, maybe more with the others.
You can't fault her for what she hasn't done, which is lose 15, 20, 25 races, right? For newer viewers watching and they don't understand the restriction perhaps of a claiming race, why does this race exist? They're $16,000 claimers. We get that. That's simple. They're all for sale. But the restriction, why do these types of races exist? Non-winners to lifetime. Every horse in the race is only won one race. Why?
Because if you're a racing secretary, your job is to make races that can fill and get bigger fields. And especially, listen, it's the winter in New York. We don't need to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's not Saratoga. It's not Belmont in the fall, or even Belmont in the spring, or even Aqueduct in November, where we have unbelievably great racing. It's not our top racing, so you have a lot of horses here that just aren't quite as good. And also remember something, when you've got horses that are these horses have broken their maidens but never won another race. Open claiming races, they're filled with horses like Fair Regis, we talked about the last race.
Right.
50-plus starts, 11 wins, 17. Those are hardened veterans. These horses can't compete against them, and if they didn't run races like this, they'd go to a circuit, which did, or where they could compete at their level. And you have to find a way to make it competitive for the horses that are on your backstretch, the people that support your game, the people that pay to have their horses in New York, the owners that do that, and the upkeep of the horses, and the people who work there. So, no, none of these horses are going to be ones that, if you don't own them, if you own them, it's like the Derby for you, if you will. It's a big moment. It's fun. If you train them, you work with the horses, every race matters. You have to do the same preparation. But these are not horses that the public is going to remember for a long time unless they win a big bet with them. But that doesn't mean that they're not horses that deserve a chance to be in races that they can win. And this is where it is. Now, this race was really affected because Captivating Kara, who would have taken a lot of money, was scratched. I thought was interested in a long shot, Pageant, the 3. There were 3 scratches out of this race, including the potential favorite, so it changed things a lot. And I mean, Tangoberg has run 41 and 45 Beyer in her races. These are not particularly strong figures. But in this race, with her tactical speed and the way the racetrack is playing, she has to be considered at the very least a strong contender.
9-5, Tangoberg. Horses circling about in the paddock. Have a paddock report and riders up in a post parade shortly. Big Tony's girl, there she is, and Jose Lascano looking for back-to-back wins. Yeah, if Fair Regis was in this race, she would have been 1-9, and other horses that look like contenders on paper would have been, had no shot.
Right, and you can't, it's so what happens is we run races that are claiming races for non-winners of 2 lifetime, and you get to that we have claiming races non-winners of 3 lifetime. Once you win that condition in New York, you got to run against the open claimers, whether it's here or you go somewhere else. But we run the non-winners. I think some tracks might do non-winners of 4 lifetime, but we do the non-winners of 2 and 3 lifetime. Now, listen, there's a big jump between 2 lifetime and 3 lifetime, because the thing about these races, non-winners of 2 lifetime, you get horses like Charlotte Webley, the 2, 1 for 23. The 10, who's taking money, who's 1 for 27. And that's the appeal of Tangoberg. She's only 1 for 2. She hasn't shown yet that she's sort of what we call kind of a career loser.
A little will go a long way, my friend. Tangoberg, 9-5, who is the favorite. We'll step aside when we come back. The 7th race from Aqueduct. One of them is going to walk away a 2-time winner, 7th and 11 minutes.
Precocity.
Strategic speed. Some speed at 2, but can carry it on through their later careers.
Improbable, full of run. Improbable, now a Grade 1 winner.
It is a complete runaway, an authoritative run.
It's improbable to win the Whitney.
Backstretch workers are the backbone of the thoroughbred racing industry. Without them, racing would not be possible. The New York Racetrack Chaplaincy provides vital programs and services to all the workers and their families, like Sponsor a Family, the Food Pantry, as well as other recreational activities and events. You can help by visiting our website and donating today. Every dollar makes a difference to those who give everything to the sport that we love.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancerstud.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Silver State to make it 6 in a row. Silver State and Ricardo Santana Jr., Malathaat and Maracuja, they will battle on to the finish in a terrific rendition here, and it looked like Maracuja got it, pulling off the upset over the odds-on favorite. A Saratoga memory for the ages with this victory by stellar tap. Steve Asmussen is now North America's all-time leading trainer. On the outside, Forense Fire. On the inside, it is Yopan. Forense Fire seems to savage Yopan there in the stretch, and it's going to be Yopan who gets to the wire first. It is Got Stormy who has now come away with the lead. Got Stormy has won the Grade 1 4-star Dave Handicap. It's Jackie's Warrior. Life is good. The two of them will battle it out. Jackie's Warrior by a head. And they ran 7 furlongs and won 21-1. And Malathaat has taken the lead with a 16th to the finish. Malathaat back in the win column. It is Latruska holding on to the lead. Latruska won it by a half length. Knicks Go out in the middle of the track and holding on to the lead here. Knicks Go with a wire-to-wire victory in the 94th running of the Grade 1 Whitney. It is Essential Quality and Midnight Bourbon. Essential Quality has won the Run Happy Travers.
And still at the back, it's your beer. And your beer is now mowing them down. Your beer, from last to first, will win the Jockey Club Derby and is in the Breeders' Cup.
Jack Christopher stretches out, steps up, and puts in a Grade 1 effort to win the Champagne. And now she's pouring it on here in the stretch. Echo Zulu, she has won all 3 of her starts, took the spin away at Saratoga, and she wins the Frazette here at Belmont. Fireworks in the stretch here in the Cigar Mile. American Revolution and Following Sea. And American Revolution, the New York bred, has won. Here comes Essential Quality up on the outside to challenge Hot Rod Charlie. Essential Quality with a narrow lead, and he's showing his quality today. The champion 2-year-old has won the Test of the Champion.
Well-deserved nap for the champion who won the Test of the Champion, Essential Quality. So many great moments in New York in 2021 as we check in with Maggie Wolfendale. Maggie, when you look at some of those highlights, storylines, performances, for you, what was the most memorable moment of racing in 2021 in New York?
Well, all of those were fantastic moments, but I think, you know, we really relate and connect with the moments that are personal to us. And for me, it was my husband, Tom Morley, pulling off the upset in the Grand Prix American Jockey Club with locally owned, a horse that we claimed down at the fairgrounds over the winter. And as soon as he got back up to our Belmont barn over the early springtime, I immediately fell in love with him. I got to gallop him several times, and he just is a special horse to me. And just pulling off the upset over Lone Rock, who is the leader in that division, with a ultimately perfect ride from Dylan Davis, who I consider a close friend. Our kids are very close and play together a lot. Just to get that win that day was just really special with the horse that's near and dear to my heart, Lafitte.
And understandably so. That's why when it comes to a personal favorite or a best moment of a year, nobody says you have to be objective. It's how it affected you personally, how you felt in that moment experiencing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we're on the show, and I think Maggie's touching on it. You know, we have to be objective, and we are, and Maggie is objective, you know, and I think sometimes people will give Maggie a hard time, and this is when uncomfortable talking about her husband's horses, because she's under the microscope, you know. Sometimes she doesn't really like them, and they may go out and win. She gives her honest opinion. People act like she's not telling you. One thing about Maggie Wolfendale, she's like me. We both want to be right, and we want as many people on earth to know it as possible, and she has no guile. She's giving her opinion. She may be wrong sometimes, but there's this feeling, so I think it's a difficult situation. But that doesn't mean that she's not rooting for every single horse that he runs on the racetrack. And, you know, I am friends with Seth Klarman, who has Clarvich Stables, so I want to see his horses do well.
It's okay to root for your friends.
I look for opportunities to ridicule when he has a horse I don't like at a short price, because you want to show that you'll dislike their horses as well. So for me, you know, domestic spending, winning that race in the Manhattan, first of all, I have a real affinity for him as a racehorse, and that was an exciting moment, being there and seeing that, enjoying races with your friends. You know, your father, you think about your father's successes, you know, how important they are to you. That's a good thing about racing, enjoying it with your friends and family.
You know how many times, what's your favorite Kentucky Derby? What do you think?
Yeah,
like
right.
The one Derby my old man won.
Right.
You know, or what was your favorite Breeders' Cup? The one I was there for to celebrate with him. That's why it's more personal than it is an objective perspective of, you know, picking out a best moment over the course of a year.
Yeah, I mean, I can go back and think of some of the big wins I had, remember weird, obscure horses in that respect, and you do have an affinity, and you go to the track, you develop affinities for different horses. Usually they're sort of weird horses. You know, Maggie mentioned locally owned. You don't really think of him when you think of it, but that was a really big moment for her, and that horse is special for her, and that's the thing about horses and horse racing. And I was talking about these horses. You don't have to be a grade 1 horse to be special. Every horse is special to somebody's, not just one person, and that's one of the really beautiful things about racing.
Conversation we have often at Saratoga, whether it's a cheap claimer or whatever the race is, seeing those smiling faces and visiting a winner's circle for any kind of race at Saratoga, and what that means for everyone associated with the horses themselves. These particular horses, these $16,000 claimers, non-winners to lifetime, all won for something, continue the warm-up, and Tango Berg, 2-1. Again, can't falter for what she hasn't done. She hasn't lost a bunch of races, 1 for 2 coming into this one, and draws inside with Eric Cancel, 2 minutes to post.
It's kind of an extension of claiming races. You know, one of the reasons that myself and a lot of handicappers like maiden races, is they're habitually filled with horses that are 1 for 12 that are short prices because they run well enough to win every time. Sometimes you look and you go, well, today they have to win. And those are the kind of horses to bet against. And what you look to bet against them is not as first-time starters, horses with 1 or 2 starts, horses that may have run a little better than it looks on paper, that haven't proven themselves to be sort of losers at this point. And so you get some value on those kind of horses because they're always sort of over-betting the horse that's had one chance or another. You say, well, today looks like the day. You say, well, there are 8 races in there where today looked like the day, and this horse managed to find somebody to beat them. They may win eventually, but I think less is more in these races. Less opportunity is more. Every loss is a black mark.
Tango Berg has had less opportunities. Eric Cancel, who won last winter's Aqueduct riding title here, updated jockey standings. Again, this is just winter. With Kendrick Carmouche, he had built that big lead last winter. 4-win lead, just like he has right now. Eric Cancel won 6 races closing day and snatched the winter riding title from him. Kendrick Carmouche with 16 wins thus far here at Aqueduct winning.
His agent, Kevin Bubser, tweeted the other day, and I was surprised to read this. Kendrick, despite missing 3 months last year, which included all of Saratoga,
right,
the most lucrative meet in the country, he still had a record year in earnings last year. So it's amazing how well he did, and
That's
we wish
incredible.
good health for everybody, everywhere, and hopefully
he broke
a full
his
year.
wrist the race after the Belmont Stakes.
Correct. So he basically missed June, July, and August, and he came back in early September. It was kind of annoying for us because he kept showing up on the set. I mean, he was like the thing that wouldn't leave. At a certain point, it gets a little annoying. We don't go in the jocks room that much. No, just kidding.
It's a
Seeing
job
Kendrick is a
security
joy.
thing with us. Kendrick's very charismatic.
Exactly.
People liked it when he was on. That's why it was annoying for us.
It's very clear that he was looking at our job. We can't do his job, but anyone could do our job.
Superstitious, Andy?
No.
No?
No, are you?
So that wasn't an omen? or
Black
anything?
cats, mirrors.
We just saw nothing?
Well, no. This is a funny one, and Maggie picked the horse, and I'm not disparaging it. She could be right. The horse could win. But you've got a 1-for-27 horse ridden by a 10-pound bug rider that is the 2-to-1, now 2-to-1 favorite. And Maggie Wolfendale on that 2-to-1 favorite. Okay.
Queen Tigwa. 1-for-27 lifetime, now emerging as the 2-to-1 favorite at post time.
I just worry that she'll be paddling out in the middle of the racetrack, and that may work against her. Whereas Tango Bird close to the inside. Listen, I'm not taking a big stand, and I could definitely see the 10 winning this race. It's not it's a difficult. I like these races sometimes because I always have a saying: bad horses win bad races. You can find horses that look almost unbettable and make a case for them. In this particular case, I can't. Is that the one?
Eric Cancel there in the My Purple Haze colors. Going to be reunited here with Tango Berg. Didn't see how he was dislodged, but now climbing back aboard, and Tango Berg is in quietly. Yeah, look, somebody has to win.
Right. I'll tell you what is amazing to me, that your dad only won one Derby. Shows how tough it is when the Derby's arguably, there's an argument the greatest rider of all time. One Derby with Swale.
And he, second to a pair of absolute freaks, Secretariat, spectacular bid, 4 total second-place finishes, second on
General
Rumbo.
Assembly he rode?
General Assembly.
He rode General Assembly?
General Assembly.
Did not know that. He was a tremendous
He finished
racehorse.
second on Rumbo to a filly who the trainer didn't want to run in the Derby. Rumbo still holds the record for the fastest final quarter mile in the history of the Kentucky Derby and lost. Don't get me started, man.
Not that you're bitter about this.
Not
And
at all.
to me,
I wasn't even
if you
born
had said to
over
me, guess how many Derbies my father won, I would have just guessed 3. Just
One.
because, it's the luck of the draw. It doesn't diminish his great
just
career.
the one, but I'm over it. Clearly.
Clearly not.
Post time for the 7th. Live from Aqueduct. Here's John Embryo.
And the rough. Queen Tigwa and Tango Berg. Tango Berg by a head. Queen Tigwa's right there on the outside in second, with Tootsie Song next in third, and then Charlotte Webley running in fourth, length and a half to Betty Smile in fifth. It's 5 lengths to the 2 trailers, Mission Trail and Big Tony's Girl. Tango Berg down on the inside leads here by a half length. Queen Tigwa on the outside runs in second after a quarter mile in 22 and 4 over the muddy strip. It is Tango Berg the leader here. Queen Tigwa on the outside in second. Then a break of 2.5 lengths back to a Tootsie Song and Charlotte Webley. Those two are right together, third and fourth. Now Mission Trail begins to gain some ground along with Big Tony's Girl as the field comes off the turn and enters the stretch. It is Queen Tigwa going very wide there. Queen Tigwa out in the middle of the track. Charlotte Webley down at the rail. Tango Berg has dropped back. Big Tony's Girl continues to gain as they come past the furlong marker. It is Charlotte Webley who has the lead. Big Tony's Girl on the outside. Charlotte Webley drifting out in the stretch but holding on to the lead. And as they come on for the finish, it is Charlotte Webley to win by 2.5 lengths. Then Big Tony's Girl, followed by Queen Tigwa and Mission Trail.
When you're 1 for 23 and 3 lengths in front in the stretch, you get a little confused, maybe a little bit lost. Charlotte Webley started to wander late, but emerges victorious in the end to earn a 2nd career victory in her 24th career start.
Well, let's talk a little about what happened here. Stephen Frett, the rider on Charlotte Webley, rode the rail and came through the rail. Drifted the stretch, but came through saving ground. The 10, drifted badly.
She looks like a winner right there.
Right, but she drifted badly. Rider probably had some trouble with her. It was wet track. The 6-horse, who was, I think, 2 or 3 wide, but drifted out badly in the stretch, was out in the middle of the track, never saving ground. And I don't, you want to keep harping on it. But by the way, I couldn't have bet on Charlotte Whibley if they gave me 5 selections out of the 7 in here. There's no chance. She was an all. If I used all, I might have had her. Might have. But the fact that she spent so much time in the rail and the others didn't proved a big benefit to her.
You see that smile on Stephen Fred's face. You think he cares this is a $16,000 restricted claiming race? He is fortunate, by the way, that Queen Tigwa didn't finish better, because the way Charlotte Webley started to drift, had Queen Tigwa been there, we would have had some contact and a potential incident.
Yeah, I agree. But and I think, we talk about it, and I know some people think I make too much of biases, but I think we're seeing how important the rail is and horses spending. And I was talking with Trevor McCarthy about this earlier today, and he was saying, as long as I spend a significant portion on the rail, I feel like my horse has a chance, even if the horse has to close.
Footing's just better. The best comparison, going to the beach, racing your friend. You're down on the sand by the water, nice and firm, and he's spinning his wheels in the thick stuff. Makes a big difference.
That was quite a great analogy. Just off the cuff, too.
Like
the feet. I think that was your highlight. I think you should probably go home now. Get down to the airport.
Reading off the prompter. 2, 6, 10, 5. 15-1, Charlotte Webley at Aqueduct. Oaklawn Park, post-parade, race 5, 2 minutes out. Muddy track here as well. There is press news in Louis Contreras.
Yeah, it comes off the claim for Greg Compton and just feels like a horse that just has some speed, but there's faster horses.
Similar race, by the way, $16,000 claimer, non-winners, 3 lifetime. Pops Biscuit, owned and trained by Steve Asmussen.
Drop down for Steve Asmussen coming from Remington Park. Feels like the speed of the speed, but this pace could get hot.
Southern California transplant, second start at Oaklawn, Justin's Quest.
Yeah, hasn't run in over 8 months for connections that don't have great numbers off the layoff, but perhaps will take advantage of a big pace.
Too bad, so sad. Drops in class. Francisco Arrieta looking to go back-to-back.
Yeah, as good a rider as he is, it may be too bad, too sad after the race.
Georgia Deputy, 4th at 40-1, facing similar last month.
Yeah, I just don't know where you work out a trip and where she's really good enough, and he has absolutely no speed at all.
The Built Right Stables Escape Fund.
One of another horse, like Too Bad So Sad, dropping down in class.
Can imagine. Kelsey Harboard.
No, I can't.
No, you can't. Flat out winner is out,
be
by
forward.
the way, Andy.
That's a late scratch, right? That horse was not scratched when I was originally getting the scratches.
Paddock scratch, I'm being told.
Okay.
Taryn, we saw. How about Cat's Hitman? 6-length winner in the mud at Remington.
I agree, and I think people will like because of the wet track win. It's tough to win the non-winners of 2 and non-winners of 3 conditions in a row, but this horse's last race, unlike the prior races, points out as a real player.
Opus Equus, deep closing winner here last month. Laurent Giroux rides again, is the 11.
Another contender, but like Cat's Hitman, has to win these conditional claiming races 2 in a row, and I like the name, Opus Equus.
Opus Equus, major attraction. Won yesterday. Smarty Jones was with David Cohen did. Why am I blanking on the name?
I know, I'm the worst with names. Bat.
I'll come up with it. Kenny McPeak's like, really?
That's all right, he forgot.
110 Kentucky Derby qualifying points. Can't remember his name.
It's 2 words. I got that much. Looks like Smarty Jones.
In the mud.
It's probably the rundown somewhere. Probably.
Well, we are recapping it later.
We have a producer. If he wasn't sleeping, he would probably have told us.
Crickets. Dash Attack.
Dash Attack. I knew it was 2 words. See, I got it.
You were close. There aren't many thoroughbreds registered in North America with 2-word names.
Is that true?
No, it isn't at all.
Oh, I thought maybe that was like a special stat that you had.
Pops Biscuit is the favorite here, man. 2 words.
I get it. This horse has fast enough figures, drops down for Steve Asmussen. I don't love an Asmussen horse. I mean, look at the odds this horse has been the last 7 races. 2-1, 6th. 8-5, 2nd. 2-5, 2nd. Wins at 3-5. Wins at 2-1. Loses at 2-5. Loses at 9-5. The first book that I read in Handicapping is Picking Winners by Andy Beyer, and I suggest anybody who's never read it that it's one of the greatest books, most entertaining books you'll read, but also informative, a great book. And one of the things I remember learning from that book that stayed with me in my entire life is that a loss at a short price is a black mark against a horse. Okay. When you're a short price, and it's listen, weird things happen, some young horses, a good horse shows up. But if you start repeating short price losses, it becomes what we sort of call a character flaw. And that bothers me a bit with Pops Biscuit. Also bothers me that it looks to be there's other speed in this race, and this horse may be taking a lot of heat. We'll see how it works out.
Has that book, has it stood the test of time
It
in
has.
terms of applying handicapping?
It has.
Yeah.
It has. And it also explains how to make speed figures, which I think a lot of people benefit from. So instead of people just saying, oh, I think that figure's too high or too low without any context whatsoever, it's also incredibly entertaining and funny.
Let's see if this race is incredibly entertaining. 5th race at Oaklawn Park, filing in. $16,000 claimers, non-winners, 3 lifetime. Vic Stoffer standing by.
Georgia Deputy. Last to load, Major Attraction. They're at the post. They're off. Press Snooze right to the front from Pops Biscuit, and there goes Pops Biscuit and Escape Fun to B1-2. Press Snooze now in 3rd. Then Major Attraction, Cat's Hitman, Torin, and Can Imagine, and on the front end, Escape Fun has opened up 2.5 lengths. Justin's Quest and Too Bad So Sad are next, then Georgia Deputy and Opus Equus. So Escape Fund is the leader up the backstretch. He's a length and a half in front of Pops Biscuit, Torin, Can Imagine, and At the Rail Press Snooze. Cat's Hitman is next, and he's moving up now to take 4th in the orange. Major Attraction has 5 lengths to make up, trying to navigate some traffic. Then comes Justin's Quest, Too Bad, So Sad. Then comes Georgia Deputy. Opus Equus is the trailer, and Escape Fund is still the leader, but Pops Biscuit is right alongside. We got a new leader at the top of the stretch. It's Pops Biscuit trying to give Ramon Vasquez his 3rd win, but Major Attraction is now out and after him in 2nd. Then comes Press News in 3rd, Can Imagine, and Opus Equus. So Pops Biscuit and Major Attraction are 1-2. Press News drives up the inside. Can Imagine is 4th, and Press News takes the lead. Major Attraction, Press News, Major Attraction, Press News in front. Press News won by 2. Major Attraction was 2nd. Pops Biscuit 3rd. Can Imagine finished 4th.
That's impressive. Press Snooze, not the cleanest of runs, and still wins going away, Andy. Pick up the action heading into the far turn.
No, I agree. See, moving up in the inside, and those noticeable pink silks is coming through. It looks to have a full head of steam and gets absolutely stopped. Not an easy thing to have happen, especially at a lower level horses.
Yes.
You know, they're not as resilient as some of the top horses, but really, didn't lose stride that much. A good job by the rider, Luis Contreras, and comes right back through on the inside to come through. And I mean, Pops Biscuit couldn't get the lead. This is Pops Biscuit. This is why we talked about those 6 seconds. Off the claim on the outside with Major Attraction and Distorted Humor. I thought he ran his race, but he had his chance to win. This horse was clearly best.
Just a $16,000 claimer, a restricted $16,000 claimer, but what you saw there was an example of a cheaper horse with class. It takes class to win a race like that for a horse encountering trouble and still good enough to gather himself, refocus, go about his business, and finish as strong as he did and still win.
No, I can't argue with any of that. I thought that was a very, very nice effort and a good ride, too. A rider we saw give a nice ride yesterday as well.
Luis Contreras, Press News Oaklawn. Meantime, here at Aqueduct, Charlotte Webley going to try to cough this one up, start wandering, but taking advantage of the rail to establish the lead in deep stretch.
Charlotte Webley, 1 for 23 coming in, now 2 for 24. Congratulations if you had this one. This one will be blowing up all of the multi-race sequences, and good luck if you're alive at 15-1. It was kind of a race where, she found the right field and she got the right ride.
Aside from the trip, is there anything else? Can you Monday morning quarterback this one? Was there anything else to say, okay, hindsight 2020, now I see something?
I could never have had this horse.
Yeah.
No. She used to have speed. She's lost her speed. Her recent form on the dirt has been atrocious. She's 0 for 14 in 2021. There was a time in her career where she was good enough to win, but that time appeared to have passed. I didn't like her, but she got a good ride, and she got the job done.
Michael Simmons winning trainer. Stephen Frett winning rider. Guyana Rocky LLC. Congrats. 33-60 in the 7th race at Aqueduct. We turn the page to the featured event and the 5th running of the La Verdad. In honor of the mare, who was a 11-time stakes winner here in New York, Naturally, these are New York bred filly and mare sprinters. Field and updated odds. No surprise here. All eyes on Bank Sting. 1-9, 16 minutes out. She was the truth. La Verdad. Aptly named New York bred sprinting machine. Amazing. 11-time stakes winner in New York. The race that lives in her honor is next at Aqueduct. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
And they're into the stretch. La Verdad off the turn in front. Room for Me is 2 lengths behind. Dame Dorothy has now moved up and takes second. La Verdad set down for a final furlong here. Trying to hold off Dame Dorothy, and on the outside, Wavell Avenue is closing in too, but it's La Verdad, Wavell Avenue, La Verdad in the gallant bloom.
Come and catch her if you can, and they usually couldn't. La Verdad, so talented, although Wavell Avenue did turn the table a few weeks later in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint, Andy, but what a mare. 3rd all-time in terms of earnings for New York bred fillies and mares.
Yeah, she was a very, very cool horse that pretty much showed up and ran a race every time. She was a really, really exciting horse and good. She was the Eclipse Award winner, correct?
Yes.
Did she beat Wavell Avenue? Right? She actually never won a Grade 1. But she was a fabulous horse. And, you know, the mark of good horses is their consistency.
Owned by Sheila Rosenblum's Lady Sheila stable. You saw the stats, the accomplishments. We lost La Verdad last May, complications from colic. Said Rosenblum, she wasn't only a racehorse, she was a symbol representing women in racing. She represented our state, our tracks, never hesitating in the face of competition. Andy, some horses' accomplishments just mean a little more, and La Verdad was an example of just that.
No, I agree. You always were excited when La Verdad was running. It was always good to see her run. She was a very game horse. Just a tremendous career.
Inspiring mare, inspiring story. La Verdad today, her legacy honored. 5th running of the La Verdad Stakes. You saw the field and updated odds. New York bred filly and mare sprinters, 7/8 of a mile, $100,000 purse as expected. Bank Sting, 1-9, about 11 minutes to post. Bank Sting. As you look at Eloquent Speaker, we check in with Maggie with this La Verdad Paddock report, and Bank Speaker 1-9. La Verdad, what a truly special mare, Maggie.
I liked how you worked that truly in there, Lafitte, and she was. For Linda Rice, she was just so consistent, and you always respect horses like that. And while maybe she never brought down the biggest races, she certainly showed up and brought her lunch pail to work each and every day. So she is missed. You know, unfortunately, we will not see more of her progeny at the racetrack, but we still have those memories of those great performances on the racetrack. As we'll take a look at Bank Sting, your heavy favorite here in this La Verdad. And she is a 5-year-old that does seem to run by appointment only, but when she runs, she shows up, and she won very impressively off the back of what was a quick pace up front to get it done, but she just trounced that field, pulling off and winning. Now she is pairing some races back to back, which I like to see, and it does seem as though with racing she gets better. She looks good here. I mean, they saddled her on the walk. She can be a little bit of a cantankerous type, but on the flip side, she seems happy heading into this race, which I appreciate for her. And she is one that with each year in her career, and when I do get to see her, she has matured and she has developed physically. So I like what I'm seeing from Bank Sting here. Heavy favorite. But honestly, the horse that's impressed me most, just from the visual standpoint, is number 1, Eloquent Speaker, who certainly has some recency, winning freshly off the claim for trainer Tally Lynch. Not the best field, to be fair, in that open allowance race. And not that she's going to take down Bank Sting here, but at a decent price, I think she's one that you can work in to your exacta. This is the best I've ever seen her appear. Now, she is one that can expend a little bit too much energy pre-race, but Tally has kept the cotton in her ears, kept her with the pony, and it's working well. She has that intensity, but she's not doing too much, so I like to see that with her. Now, number 5, Let Me Take This Call. She does garner respect. A 7-year-old that's won 13 out of 36 career starts, and you would have thought that going into that Garland of Roses, her career was over, based upon her previous 2 efforts in the latter half of 2021. But she showed up that day. She was kind of against the way the race unfolded and ran well. Now, I did not like the way she looked, but she's actually come out of that race looking better. You know, she looks like a horse that Father Time has caught up with a little bit, and that the top line, she looks a little more sway back, kind of carries that little bit of a belly. Coat wasn't great that day. But I do think that race, for whatever reason, despite it being her 3rd start off the layoff, has moved her forward. And we'll see what she can do here in against fellow New York breds yet again. Lafitte?
Let me take this call, Maggie. 37th lifetime start. Trying for a 14th win. Bank Sting, though. 1-9 here and towering over this field. On paper, Bank Sting coming off this easy win in the Staten Island New York Stallion Series division, Andy.
Yeah, she got a very fast pace and duel in front of her in a perfect trip, but that's not to say she didn't run well, and she has been very consistent throughout her career. You know, her lone bad race, there's 2. Her debut, she didn't even run that badly. She was 50-1, and she ran in a stake race first time out and ran 4th. And then when she came off the layoff, she didn't run that well, but she chased a fast pace, and it was mile 16. She's probably a little better going a bit shorter. She has speed. She figures to be stalking the pace in here. She's a tough horse to want to bet against.
Just kind of flicks her legs out there, but she does it fast, and she's the one to beat. John Terranova there, the trainer, looking on. Just 7 starts thus far for Terranova. Bank Sting, lightly raced, 5-year-old mare now, and again, when she wins, that's what she does. She doesn't leave any doubt. The 5 wins by a combined 18.5 lengths.
No, she does win easily. You see John with his wife Tanya, and they work together. Together, it's a real family operation. You see that a lot in racing, and Tanya deserves a lot of credit as well as John. And yeah, she's a really nice horse. There's really sort of, it's just sort of obvious. I mean, she's 1-9. I think the question becomes, do you want to bet against her? Where is she vulnerable? Well, she's handled wet track so well that it's hard to think the wet track is going to be an excuse for her. The 1 Eloquent Speaker is probably going to go. She figures to maybe sit 2nd. We'll see. Ruben Silvera, who rides the 5 horse, is a very aggressive rider, so she may go, and Bank Sting may end up sitting 3rd. I think Courageous Girl could be the horse to finish 2nd. I bet a cold 4-3.
Courageous Girl with Manny Franco. Call to post. Fifth running of the La Verdad with a $100,000 purse. Fillies and mares, 7/8 of a mile. These New York bred fillies and mares. We start with Eloquent Speaker. Sharp win off the Talia Lynch claim 2 weeks ago.
Good job by her off the claim. She definitely improved, but this is a much, much, much tougher field.
Willoway, no match for Bank Sting in the Staten Island.
But she does like a wet track. Maybe the race falls apart and she picks up third or something.
You gave Courageous Girl your exacta horse?
She lost to a very promising Chad Brown runner here in her last start. She's really improved off the claim for Horacio de Paz.
Bank Sting, star of this show, overwhelming favorite, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, her merits speak for themselves, and she has the speed to put herself in position. On weird tracks, sometimes weird things happen, and I'm not running better at 1 to 9, but I'm not betting against her either.
That is something to look for from the start. Let me take this call and how aggressive Ruben Silvera will be right from the start.
I think he will be. He is usually a very aggressive rider. Whether or not she's as comfortable on a wet track right now, that's another story.
It's a great shot, Andy.
It is. I mean, we sit up here and, you kid at Aqueduct where we are on the 3rd floor, and I'm sure there are people who have been in the 3rd floor at Equestrian in the restaurant. Aqueduct has the best sight lines of any racetrack in America. You can sit on the apron and you can see the whole racetrack. And up here, I mean, you turn around, as long as there's daylight going on, you see the whole track. I love Aqueduct. Aqueduct is near and dear to my heart. One of the first racetracks I went to, the first track in New York I went to. I look back and remember taking the subway out with my grandmother, who I was very close to, and she and I spent many afternoons here. I saw Believe It beat Alydar. I saw Bold Forbes win the Wood Memorial. You have some great memories of Aqueduct, and I've been coming here. I moved to New York in '84. There weren't a lot of weekends that I didn't come out to Aqueduct, especially, back in the day in the 80s and 90s.
New York City's only racetrack, and that grass is looking pretty good on January 2nd,
We're back on
on
Thursday. Yeah, we got a few on if it dries out. It is amazing. My mom said to me, my mom lives in Saratoga, she said the lawn is getting green. You don't hear that a lot in late December, early January in Saratoga.
Not under typical couple feet of snow.
Breeders' Cup. We'll run a midwinter Breeders' Cup.
Breeders' second ever Breeders' Cup was won right here at Aqueduct in '85 on a windy, blustery afternoon. With a big headwind that day, by the way.
And your dad beat me a nose in the
Tasso and Stormcat.
Beating Stormcat, the mighty Stormcat. I watched those races from a hotel room in Richmond, Virginia, where I was seeing the Grateful Dead. I'm sorry I missed that Breeders' Cup, but I'm not sorry I saw those Grateful Dead shows.
Rally wide bias that day. Rally wide, rally wide, rally wide.
Yeah, Proud Truth made a big run. Precisionist won that day.
Beat Smile, came back and won the next year.
Beat Smile and Mount Livermore, a very, very good horse for Wayne Lucas. That was a terrific Breeders' Cup. Life's Magic beat Lady's Secret.
That's right.
In the distaff, Pebbles came over, beat Strawberry Road, who was ridden by Steve Cawthon that day. Cozine
Walter Guerra.
The mile. Yep, that's right.
Maggie, we need you to get us back on track here as we approach post time. 3 minutes out for the La Verdad, and the rails are going up.
Yeah, that portable rail for when they leave the chute, going the 7 furlongs. And Lafitte, as far as getting back on track, I was going to mention the weather as you guys were talking about the turf course. I spent the first half of this card in just a sweater and was quite comfortable. It has changed dramatically as far as the weather. It's dropped at least 10 degrees. The wind has picked up. They're kind of running into a bit of a headwind down the backside, tailwind when they come down the stretch here. So I think it's a good thing we're not racing here tomorrow. There's also snow in the forecast. But talking about number 3, Courageous Girl, I agree with Andy in that she has done well for Horacio de Paz, and I noted that second start off the claim, just the weight and the conditioning that she had put on. Now, I do think she is your quintessential kind of one-term miler, and an extra furlong would only benefit her, and she's not getting it here. She's yet again at the 7 furlongs. But I do like the warm-up that Manny Franco gave her. Just immediately took her away from the pony. Lovely gallop, lovely kind of balanced and kind of equal type of gallop over to the backside, just well within his hands. So she got over this track and the condition that it's in a muddy sealed surface very, very nicely. So one that's kind of ticking all the boxes. I do think, though, that Bank Sting will be very tough to beat. She's done everything right in these preliminaries. Lafitte?
Looking the part, Bank Sting 1 to 9 with Dylan Davis. This field of 5 for the La Verdad Stakes. Where should Davis place Bank Sting early on?
Well, I mean, you're always supposed to come out aggressive, and you let the race develop in front of you. And one of the good things about Bank Sting is that she's adaptable. She can be forward. She can let others go. Probably the 1 in 5 will show more speed than she shows, and they'll probably be in front of you. But if the 1 doesn't want to go and you could get the rail, and if the 5 goes, let her go, sit behind her. But, I mean, I think even you wish you were riding 1 to 5 and 1 to 9 as a jockey every time, but there's a lot more at stake. When you blow it at 10 to 1, nobody notices as much. When you blow it as a heavy favorite, it's got to be a real burden. There must be one of the toughest returns for a rider, especially if they feel like, I should have won. It's one thing if you just lost, If you feel like you should have won, it's got to be very hard for a rider coming back and knowing they have to face the trainer and the owner, and they want to do their best for them, and they feel like they let people down. Nobody wants to think you let people down.
A lot of pressure. Tough spot. She wins. Well, he did what he was supposed to do, but if she gets beat, that's they're looking at the rider.
Right. It's sort of, you really can't. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's a nice purse. You win, you get paid, and that's an important thing. But from a credit standpoint, riders are rarely going to get credit for winning on heavy favorites. They will get blame, though, whether they deserve it or not. And riders, it's not just horse players that blame riders. They're there for trainers to blame. They're there for, they're a convenient excuse.
Right.
It's part of their job as being a convenient excuse. It's sort of kind of what they signed on for.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Eloquent speaker, Eric Cancel stepping forward. A will away.
4-3. I bet a cold 4-3.
4-3 says Andy for this.
That should have been my $25 play. I blew it. I made a mistake.
You still have time. Our viewers still have time.
You can bet your $25
$25
free
free
bet
play.
is a 4-3 exacta here.
You've got to be quick. Got to be quick. Maybe you can come up with something for us before the end of the show.
I like the favorite in the last race here. Sorry.
Bank Sting. All set for the La Verdad, the Sunday feature live from Aqueduct. Here's John Embrial.
They're in the gate. And they're off in the La Verdad Stakes. And it is Bank Sting and Let Me Take This Call right together here in the early going. Bank Sting, the big favorite, with a head in front now of Let Me Take This Call. A will away is a close-up third. Eloquent Speaker is down at the rail, and then it's the gray Courageous Girl, the early trailer, in fifth. As they move up the backstretch, it is Bank Sting, challenged on the inside by Eloquent Speaker, and on the outside by Let Me Take This Call. The quarter went in 23 seconds. Eloquent Speaker now takes a narrow lead. Bank Sting runs in second. Let Me Take This Call is on the outside in third. And then it's a will away and Courageous Girl as they go around the far turn. On the outside, Bank Sting down at the rail, Eloquent Speaker, and the two of them are heads apart for the lead. Bank Sting now takes the lead from Eloquent Speaker. The half went in 47 seconds. The front two have 2.5 lengths on a will away in third. Let Me Take This Call is back running in fourth, and Courageous Girl is the trailer. The field comes into the stretch. It is Bank Sting challenged here by Eloquent Speaker. Eloquent Speaker down at the rail. Bank Sting on the outside, and the two of them are heads apart with a 16th to the finish now. Bank Sting on the outside. Eloquent Speaker continues to battle on. Eloquent Speaker and Bank Sting, they come on for the finish, and it's going to be Bank Sting by a head. The 1 to 5 favorite all out to defeat Eloquent Speaker in the La Verdad.
Big sigh of relief from everyone associated with Bank Sting, who really had to work to finally put away the stubborn, rail-riding Eloquent Speaker in the fifth running of the La Verdad.
She really looked like she was not going to win this race in mid-stretch. And, credit Eric Cancel for keeping Eloquent, Speaker on the inside and taking advantage of that. And if you need any more evidence of the value of being inside and how much tougher it is to be outside, look at this race. And not knocking Eloquent Speaker, she's clearly improved. A terrific job by Natalia Lynch, who also lists as the owner of this horse as well. She ran very well, but Bank Sting was just a little too good for her. Is the victory maybe better than the narrow margin? Yes, but you know what? When you're that big a favorite, you're supposed to be able to overcome a little bit of adversity. And John Terranova looks like he's saying to himself, "Oh boy, that was almost too painful to watch. Thank God she won."
Big sigh of relief. Yeah, right here, you're not sure that Bank Sting is going to collar her.
No.
Eloquent speaker Eric Cancel. Strong hand rod goes to the left hand. Bank Sting, and she had to fight for this one. We touched on her wins and how she normally just dominates. 5 wins by 18.5 lengths. Today she had to dig, scrap, claw her way to victory.
She did. No question about it. This is not what you would call winning like a 1-5 shot should. This is like winning like a 1-5 shot shouldn't.
Shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. No, she got it done, and congratulations to the connections, but a good ride by Eric as well on Eloquent Speaker, taking advantage of that rail.
McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, where she was bred, Central Banker Mare. Hidden Brook Farm, Joseph McMahon. Bank Sting by an extended neck or so, 1-5. Dylan Davis, Bank Sting in the La Verdad. Results, reaction when America's Day at the Races continues.
This is the horse.
He is just too good.
This is the horse who became only the second champion 2-year-old to win the Travers in 3 decades. This is the horse who is the only Breeders' Cup juvenile hero ever to lift the Belmont Stakes. History-making brilliance. That's his essential quality. Essential quality. This is the horse. Just imagine.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Nobody wants to fall into a safety net, but when adversity or hardship presents itself, it beats the alternative. Since 1943, the Jockey Club Safety Net Foundation has been serving those individuals and families in need across every facet of the thoroughbred industry. Help us continue to be the safety net and catch those most in need. Visit tjcfoundation.org to learn more.
Introducing Adelphi Racing Club, the horse racing syndicate offering more than just fractional ownership. Enjoy the thrill of an interactive thoroughbred ownership experience competing at the sport's highest level. Attend events where you'll interact with top trainers, industry professionals, and club members. We've cheered on winners from coast to coast at top tracks such as Santa Anita and Saratoga.
And it will be Exotic West.
Become part of a group that celebrates success together. Visit adelphiracing.com and join the club today.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Live look, Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And the 6th race coming up shortly. The starter allowance sprint, 3/4 of a mile dash, older horses. Scratch number 5, Hidden Ruler. Post parade here. We're going to start with Bachelor Pad, Sharp Ontario bred, having rattled off 3 straight races, currently 7-1. We promise you some. There he is, Bachelor Pad and John Geraldo.
Norm McKnight has had some success with synthetic horses shipping down to Oaklawn Park, and this is one of them.
In good form, seeking a 4th straight. Pull My Chain, who was second at 45-1 at this level last month.
Yeah, but not really fast enough to compete, thus almost 30-1.
Jack Van Berg, namesake of the late, great Hall of Fame trainer.
Off the claim, yeah. I thought Jack Van Berg retired. Apparently, he's now a thoroughbred. And off the claim from Norm Cassie, but by Robertino Diodoro, dangerous man off the claim.
Kate Dancer, we were discussing the 85 Breeders' Cup Classic, second to Proud Truth here.
I know. I bet Kate Dancer in the original Breeders' Cup Classic. He got disqualified.
We don't have to talk about that.
It looks like a 3 and 4, the 2 favorites could be dueling in this race. Don't they appear to both be speeds?
Beverly Park, 10-time winner, quick, dangerous. Scratch number 5, Hidden Ruler, American Joy, 4th at this level last month, 1 for 12 last year.
Yeah, he appears to be over his head.
Louis Contreras seeking another win this afternoon. Number 7, Mr. Ankeny.
Another horse who just feels like there's faster speeds in here, so ends up chasing 2 better and faster horses.
1 for Richie. Cipriano Contreras, who saddled the winner yesterday after a bunch of second-place finishes.
There was a gate malfunction in his last race, which is why it was declared no contest, and I don't know if that's what contributed to him running his unusually poor buyer speed figure. Now, he hasn't been out in 7 months, it's a concern, but he should get pace to run at, and this guy has some fast races. If you feel like you think he's ready off the layoff, and Francisco Arrieta making a lot of good moves out there, he's a reasonable alternative to the favorites, Lafitte.
Let's hope we have no such gate issues in this one. Check in with Gary Stevens on site at Oaklawn as we approach post time for the 6th. Gary.
Yeah, guys, let's talk about the one-horse Bachelor Pad a little bit. He's won 3 in a row. He drew down inside last time, had to wait for some space when they entered the stretch, and went on about the business pretty good. He's 1 for 1 on a track very similar to this track today. It's heavy, it's deep, it's a little bit like peanut butter out there. Horses are struggling through it. The times are a little slower than normal today, so that meaning that these horses are struggling to get over it a little bit. And then the 8, 1 for Richie. Here's a horse. I mean, he's 3 to 1, but he's 0 for 5 on wet tracks. Anything that with any amount of moisture on it, he just hasn't performed really well. He did look really good in the paddock. I was looking at him. You look for horses with smaller feet on these muddy surfaces. They'll get through it a little bit easier than a horse with a big plated foot. But those are my 2 horses that stood out the most to me, guys.
And as Andy pointed out, Gary, 1 for Richie with some good races, some good speed figures. Put him right in the mix for this one towards the outside. Final thoughts as they move in here, Andy?
Yeah, Gary clearly knows how hungry I am because he keeps bringing up peanut butter. Another peanut butter reference, Gary, and you better send some food my way.
Gooey track out there at Oaklawn Park. Vic Stoffer standing by. It is post time for the 6th.
They're off. Beverly Park broke a stride slow. So Jack Van Berg and Pull My Chain are quicker. Mr. Ankeny and now a recovering Beverly Park. 1 for Richie away a close 5th. Then Bachelor Pad, and the trailer is American Joey. Jack Van Berg is quickest up the backstretch. He's a half length in front of Beverly Park in 2nd. Mr. Ankeny is 3 deep in 3rd and a length and a half from the front with Pull My Chain at the rail. 1 for Richie has forward momentum, but he will be 4 wide all the way around the far turn. Bachelor Pad is 2nd to last with 4 lengths to make up, and the trailer is American Joey, and there goes 1 for Richie all the way in the center of the racetrack. Jack Van Berg is gone. He's backing out of it. So 3 land on the front at the top of the stretch. 1 for Richie, Beverly Park, and Mr. Ankeny, and it is 1 for Richie to take the lead at the top of the stretch. He's 3/4 of a length in front of Beverly Park in a 2nd. Bachelor Pad now emerges in 3rd, but 1 for Richie has the jump at mid-stretch, and now he is 3.5 or 4 in front. Bachelor Pad, Beverly Park, Mr. Ankeny, and American Joey across the track for 2nd, but 1 for Richie is far in front, and he's going to coast home in hand. 1 for Richie. 1 for Richie, won by 3. American Joey was 2nd, Bachelor Pad 3rd, Beverly Park finished 4th.
No such issues at the gate, no such issues in the race. 1 for Richie, simply dominant, and it's a broken record. Francisco Arrieta, another win.
Can I also add, this is why you have to be careful about looking and seeing. This horse has run 5 times prior to this in a wet track with only 1 second place finish. Some of you might look at that and say, oh, this horse is like a wet track, I'm not going to bet him. It doesn't really matter. The reality is he's a much better horse now than he was when he was running on those wet tracks. He had absolutely no problem with it today and no problem with the wide trip. This horse was a week the best. You can't say it was a pace that collapsed because he was right on top of it. He just buried this field, and I want to say that feels like a bit of a price in American Joey. Remember American? American was a horse that came over the sire to Todd Pletcher. I believe ran in our Sword Dancer at Saratoga. Did not run well here, but I want to say won the Cox Plate or the Melbourne Cup. Won one of those big races.
Not ringing any bells.
No,
yeah, the research department.
You were out in California during this, but I was in Saratoga.
1 for Richie at Oaklawn. Here, the favorite. They had to sweat. They had to sweat, but in the end comes through in the La Verdad. Winning trainer John Terranova with Maggie in the winner's circle.
Pleased to be here with winning trainer John Terranova with Banksting in this La Verdad. And John, she was 1 to 5. She was tracking outside the whole way, and all day we've seen horses just make big runs towards the inside. How much did that play into her narrow margin of victory?
I mean, Dylan noted it that, maybe not her favorite track or maybe where she was on the track, and I had seen that, has the insides been good, but Hey, all credit to the runner-up. She ran a game race, and Natalia's done a great job with her since the claim. So, nice New York bred for her. And, our filly's all class, all heart. I might have went a little easy on her in between races. Maybe she got a little fat over the holidays like I saw. So, I'll know better for next time. But she's just all heart. She makes up for what we mess up.
Well, she is 6 for 8. You're exactly right. She knows how to win and to be a racehorse. And for you as a trainer, when they have that kind of record, when there's such a short price, how much of a relief was it to see her nose on the wire first?
Oh, it always is, because we don't want to, anything that would go wrong with her. And she's in the right spot. She's bet heavy here, and she's supposed to, win a race like this. And she had to fight a little hard to do it today, but you never know until you put them out there what they're going to do. But just happy she comes back sound, healthy, and happy for the owners and happy for all the connections, and she's just a good filly with all heart.
Well, John, congratulations. Job well done with her today.
Thanks, Maggie.
All right, Bank Sting doing the aforementioned La Verdad happy today in this stakes, name for that great sprinter that we had. Lafitte?
La Verdad, 11-time stakes winner in New York. Third richest New York bred filly or mare all time. Bank Sting, like La Verdad, wins and wins a lot. 6 for 8 overall, and now 5 for 6 here at Aqueduct, Andy.
Yeah, no, she I think some will look at this race and say, she won by a nose, she won to 5, disappointing. I think that you would be sort of underestimating how much the track is favoring horses with inside position, and I really think it's a better effort than it looks by her.
One left in the late pick 5, up over $250,000 in the pool this afternoon. Charlotte Webley really shaking things up, 33.61 left, the 9th and final New York bred $25,000 maiden claimer. That's coming up in about 15 minutes. Field and updated odds. Take out the second half of the entry, Shinjuku. And this one, again, will go a long way.
Yeah, 42 ace. I mean, listen, she's coming off a long layoff. She's dropping down significantly off that layoff. But she is way the horse to beat. She is supposed to be the speed as well.
Currently 9-5, 42 ace Manny Franco to ride. One left on the New Year's weekend program, winding things down at Aqueduct, and then it's all Oaklawn all the time. And this Sunday, you're watching America's Day at the Races on FS1.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Solomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Aqueduct is the only racetrack within the confines of the 5 boroughs of New York City and faced intense competition from several other tracks located in the vicinity. True to its nature, the racetrack not only survived, but thrived. Aqueduct underwent an extensive 3-year overhaul and reopened on September 15th, 1959, to much fanfare, as it was one of the most modern facilities of its kind. In 1960, Aqueduct presented its first Wood Memorial. The race is New York's premier prep race for the Triple Crown and remains one of the track's signature events, along with the Cigar Mile Handicap and Remsen Stakes. Aqueduct was the first and only track to have a triple dead heat win in a stakes race when Brownie, Bousset, and Wait a Bit hit the wire in tandem. In 1965, it was the site of the largest crowd ever to witness a thoroughbred race at that time in the Empire State, when more than 73,000 packed the stands to see Gunbow in the Metropolitan Mile. The legendary Cigar began his famous 16-race win streak at Aqueduct. He scored impressively in the 1994 Naira Mile as part of that win streak. The race was named in Cigar's honor after he retired in 1997. The last racetrack Secretariat placed his hooves upon was Aqueduct. He was retired there before commencing his stud career at Claiborne Farm. Aqueduct was the second track to host the Breeders' Cup in 1985 and was one of the first sporting venues where Pope John Paul II held Mass in 1995.
New York City's only racetrack, Aqueduct. So many incredible moments. So many of the eventual Triple Crown winners before American Pharoah, before Justify, and we only had 11, I believe 7 or 8 had performed here at Aqueduct at some point, and what a role this track, this venue has played in the history of North American thoroughbred racing.
Absolutely, and a lot of people forget that Seattle Slew won the Wood here, but he also made his final career performance in the Stuyvesant. They took him out here to sort of show him off to the fans for his last start, which I thought was really cool, and he won by about 10 lengths that day, and really one of the greatest races in the history of thoroughbred racing took place at Aqueduct when in 1967, Dr. Fager, Damascus, and Buckpasser all hooked up in the Woodward. And there was the Rabbit, Hedivar, which did in Dr. Fager, and Damascus, I believe, won the race, I want to say. But, I mean, Dr. Fager, Damascus, and Buckpasser, 3 of the greatest horses.
Dr. Fager, Damascus, Buckpasser, Maggie, I don't remember, I don't think either of us were here for that particular one.
Nope, I can firmly say I wasn't even born yet, but some really great horses for sure, laying the groundwork for a lot of great showdowns that we've seen here at the Big A. And, you know, a lot of times they refer to Saratoga as River champions, River favorites, whatever you want to call it. But what about Aqueduct? We've seen a lot of upsets here, namely in the Wood Memorial. I mean, think about Secretariat being upset here way back when. And I remember my first Wood Memorial, Uncle Mo. And it was like he was already a winner before he even stepped foot in the paddock. But when he stepped foot in the paddock, I did not like the way he appeared that day. He would be upset, but obviously go on to have quite a nice career that day. But trivia, who did win that Wood Memorial, guys?
I believe Toby's Corner.
Toby's Corner won.
Toby's Corner.
Yes. He beat Arthur. He beat Arthur, somebody who I bet was second.
And so interviewing Graham Motion that week leading up to the Kentucky Derby, he also had Animal Kingdom, but he was really distraught about Toby's Corner. In fact, he thought he had a real shot to win the Derby. He scratched. He didn't end up running in the Derby, and he was really, really demoralized. And Animal Kingdom was almost like yeah, I mean, he's running, but the focus was Toby's Corner being forced to defect, and he winds up winning his first Kentucky Derby with John Velasquez, whom would have been riding Uncle Mo had Uncle Mo not defected a few days before the Kentucky Derby.
Showing once again how little trainers know. Even Graham Motion.
He wasn't even he earned his points in the Lane's End at Turfway.
That's right.
And he was supposed to run in a grass race or something, like the Rushaway or something.
That would make
grass
sense.
race. And there were some it was the chain of events that led to Animal Kingdom running in the Lane's End, I believe that's what it was called then, to earn enough not points or graded stakes earnings back then, to get into the Derby. He was a grass horse. And what needed to happen in order, the chain of events that led to him winning that Kentucky Derby. It was meant to be.
He was such an unusual horse that was really talented at all surfaces. Obviously winning the Dubai World Cup, but his Preakness was excellent, where he ran second, and he got completely eliminated at the start
of the Belmont
Stakes. So, you know, who knows what he could have done that day. The Roar and Ice won the race. But he was in that terrific race down in Florida when Point of Entry beat him on the turf. Point of Entry beat him. The New York bred was Unbridled Command, finished third, a close third for Tom Bush in that race as well. Horse who ended up getting a purchase and going over to Europe. And then, of course, he went over and he won in Dubai before not doing well at Ascot. But such a tough thing to do, those 1 mile straightaway races. Shows you how incredible Tepid was, that she was able to go over there and do it.
Upsets in the Wood, and oh, by the way, 73-1 Bourbonic?
Yeah.
Biggest upset in Wood Memorial history last spring. I remember reading a headline that said the bubonic plague strikes out Aqueduct. that's always kind of stuck.
It was such a funny race for Todd Pletcher because obviously it was a big win for the bubonic, but he ran down the other Todd Pletcher horse in the race.
Dynamic one?
Yes, Dynamic one who ended up winning the Curlin. I don't think has run since he ran last in the Travers, but I remember Todd winning it and having to go out. And, of course, I don't think that Brad Kelly, who owned Bourbonic, was here, that Calumet, but Mike Rapoli and Vinny Viola, I believe, were here, who owned Dynamic One. And it's got to be like Todd going out. So thinking, could the other horse have held on? Going on. But it's always a funny thing for trainers. And, the good owners are just happy that you won. They're disappointed they lost. But if you're going to lose, don't you want to lose to your trainer?
So,
yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
And the road to the Wood Memorial began yesterday. A little bit later on, we'll recap the Jerome en route to New York's premier Kentucky Derby prep race. We have one left on the Sunday card and call to post. New York bred maidens, $25,000 claimers, 1 mile. Older horses now 8-5, 42 ace. Does that feel right to you?
Yeah, there's just, the problem is, I don't love horse off layoffs, but she is the controlling speed, or he is. And he's just better than these horses.
Post parade, looking at V Pattern, lone entrant for Barry Schwartz. Horacio de Paz with the defection of Shinjuku. Unlikely, drawn inside.
Yeah, the problem with V Pattern is he has no speed. Unlikely, feels unlikely. Never hit the board in 12 starts.
Has not been close. How about Bohemian Ruby?
Drawing well.
Farm homebred.
Drawing well to the inside as well. And you've got Gustavo Rodriguez, whose horses are running very, very well. Look for him to improve OK Honey, who he claimed.
42 ace, unraced since the day before Bourbonic won the Wood.
Seen Michelle Nevin do this move before, though. Come off a layoff, drop in a maiden claimer, and just blitz the field. I think she's going to try to do that with Manny Franco.
Arrowheart, Dylan Davis looking for a 4th win today.
Big day for Dylan. It would be pretty impressive. He's able to do it with this horse. Has no speed and is probably better on the turf.
Artie's lit, 5-race maiden, 4 of those losses on grass. Crock of Gold at 16-1. Jackie Davis.
Yeah, 2 horses in a row that are tough to make. We'll see.
Not been real competitive. Forest Wood Lane, just the one start. He did beat more horses than beat him.
Yeah, I tried to make a case for him. He made a little bit of a run, but that race was falling apart. But he is a bit of a stranger, just a second-time starter.
Tuesday's Child in 5 races. He's beat 5 horses. Bell Boy, he beat 1 horse in his lone start to date.
He's the sneaky, wise guy horse in here. He got
Bell
bet
Boy?
in his debut. He just, it was sort of odd. I don't know. They had a good hold. Jose had a big hold on him early, but at the end, he was trying. I don't know. I think he's the wise guy horse. I'm going to bet a little 410, slight reverse, and bet a couple hours to win. I don't have much confidence, but he's got a little bit of a look to me.
Bell Boy.
Yeah. I mean, who are you afraid of? I'm going to be afraid of V Pattern, who's got no speed and is never close early and has never really run. Yeah, he's the second likeliest winner of this race, but, and I do think that the favorite's going to be very hard to beat in here. But, I could bet a couple hours to win it, 15, almost 20-1, and try a 410 exacta.
Maggie, while we're looking at Bohemian Ruby, what are you seeing from 42 ace?
And he looks a little bit on the heavier side, just especially to come back going a mile off that long layoff dating back to early April. And but on the flip side, he is a horse that carries a lot of weight and conditioning. He always has been. And in his defense, he never really looked all that fit when he was running consecutive races back to back to back. I will say that in the paddock, he was much more well-behaved, which comes with a little age and seasoning. But once he got out on track here, he was fairly sharp and into the bridle with Manny Franco, who, as you can see out on the track, he is full of beans, as they say. So I at a short price, I wish he looked a bit more fit. But again, that kind of comes with the territory with regards to how he's looked in the past. Number 1 in here, V Pattern. I totally agree with Andy. In his races, he has no early speed, but he adds blinkers today. Massive, massive warm up from Jose Ortiz. So I think he's going to try to at least to get him a little bit more in position, because he was completely out of it. And he's a horse that his faster races have come on wet tracks, and is evident by the way he warmed up. He moves very nicely over this kind of surface. I'm not his biggest fan, but I can see him maybe just running a bit better with, again, another drop in class. Number 3, Bohemian Ruby. I'm going to try with this Gustavo Rodriguez trainee. I just liked everything I saw from him physically. A horse that it kind of likes the turf, and this track mimicking a little bit more of a turf course. Just really ticked all the boxes for me from the physical perspective. And then a second-time starter in here, Forest Wood Lane, as Andy was talking about, number 10, Bellboy, who also comes out of that race. Forest Wood Lane, he kind of broke well, then he couldn't keep pace, and then he was a bit green down the lane, and he didn't look that fit, which is kind of typical of Chris Englehart and his first-time starters. They tend to race into fitness so much more defined and just chiseled overall, more professional, knows what his job is today, and I think he does benefit from getting a bit more ground, just a little bit more of a longer, even type of frame from him. So I think one that will build upon that first effort. Lafitte?
So he looks better, Maggie, for his second career start. Forest Wood Lane, number 8, Andy, and the way he sprinted suggested that he sprinted the way a horse looks when they want to go a little bit farther. Just very even in that debut. And again, he did beat more horses than beat him. We expect some improvement.
Well, you'd like to think they'll improve from their first start to the second start. I don't have a strong opinion about it. I thought the 10 was a little more interesting. It was a better price. But, yeah, you always want to look at those second-time starters. And Chris Englehart is dangerous, and the horse got a decent enough figure. So I won't be shocked when this horse runs better second time out. We'll see. I mean, listen, there is not a lot to go on in this race. So, last thing I would ever do, I don't ever want to knock a long price anyway. And certainly in a race like this, I believe the 4 will probably win. But I can understand if somebody wants to bet against this horse. It's an even money shot of a long layoff. Has one big race. That was last time. This horse has had some trips. It's actually better than it looks on paper. But then again, long layoff. But I think that, you see it's owned by the estate of Dominic Salzano. They may want to get claimed. You see an estate.
Gotcha.
You think claim could be something they want, and that's why this horse is dropping. And I imagine that he will get claimed out of here.
See how this one unfolds. The 9th and final, winding down New Year's weekend here at Aqueduct. Stepping forward, unlikely. Even money, number 4, 42 aces. Can he graduate, earn that first career victory in his 10th career start? Bohemian Ruby. Kendrick Carmouche aboard. And he says, look out for Bellboy towards the outside, getting a number 18-1 at post time. By Bellamy Road, we had a long conversation yesterday about horses that posted big buyer speed figures. We were talking about Flightline and how fast he has been on paper. Bellamy Road, 126?
22. I watched that race with his trainer, Nick Zito. And it was just sort of jaw-dropping. I mean, we just got silent in the box when it just sort of was going around the turn as he was widening and widening his lead. I believe that Bellamy Road was a truly great talent that unfortunately, because of physical issues. I think his Derby is a lot better than anyone will ever give him credit for. He came off a 4-month layoff to run second to Flower Alley in the Travers.
When Flower Alley got really good.
Flower Alley was good. He was a good horse.
He was a locomotive. Bellamy Road. Who graduates here? About to find out. With 42 ace, final check of the tote board. Even money post time. John Imbriel with the call. 9th and final from the Big A.
Set for the start of race 9. And they're off. Has in the beginning for number 3, Bohemian Ruby, and he trails the field. 42 ace out for the lead, along with a Crock of Gold. Tuesday's Child is there on the outside in 3rd, and Bellboy races in 4th, as Unlikely moves up at the rail from 5th. Arrowheart's in between horses and in 6th. Then Forest Wood Lane racing in 7th, followed by Artie's Lit in 8th, V Pattern, and down at the rail is Bohemian Ruby. It is the favorite, 42 Ace, who takes the field up the backstretch after a quarter mile in the mud in 23 and 4/5 seconds. 42 Ace leads by 2.5 lengths. Tuesday's Child, now Bohemian Ruby, makes a move down at the rail. Bohemian Ruby moves on up now to grab second. And then comes Tuesday's Child, Crock of Gold, and Unlikely, who was racing in 5th. Far outside, Forest Wood Lane in 6th, and alongside is Arrowheart. Then at the back, it is V Pattern, followed by Bellboy and Artie's Lit. The half in 47 and 4. 42 Ace on the lead here. 42 Ace by almost 3. Tuesday's Child in second. Bohemian Ruby down at the rail in third. And farther back is a Crock of Gold and a Forest Wood Lane on the extreme outside with Arrowheart. 3/4 in 13 and 3. They are in the stretch, and it is 42 Ace in command here. 42 Ace has now opened up a 7-length lead. Tuesday's Child, Bohemian Ruby, second and third, then Forest Wood Lane and Arrowheart. 42 Ace. He aced it today to break his Maiden in the mud. 42 Ace, much the best. Looked like Bohemian Ruby got second over Tuesday's Child.
Thought we might see that kind of runaway in the feature about half an hour ago from Banksting. She really had to work. Not the case for 42 Ace by several in the darkness and the nightcap at Aqueduct.
Funny, it looks a lot darker out here than it does on TV.
Dark as both.
When you are the best horse in the race and you're the controlling speed and you get to the rail on a track that is very tilted to horses running inside, it's a pretty tough combo to overcome.
Yep.
So you end up seeing these sort of distorted, results. On a fair racetrack, I don't think that 42 Ace would have won this race by, this just huge margin. But
or does Bohemian Ruby run second?
Right, because, we were watching it, and it felt like the 8, the horse Maggie was mentioning, Forest Wood Lane, looked like it was going to sort of roll into second. But I just don't think you could get that momentum on the outside. Usually horses get their momentum on the outside, but it just felt like a lot of horses were struggling out in the middle of the racetrack.
He's kind of carrying him to the wire, Bohemian Ruby. Manny Franco here, Michelle Nevin, 42 Ace, the estate of Dominic Salzano Jr., and in his 10th career start, it's not like he's been productive. He's had the 3 second-place finishes, just held in check until this afternoon.
Yep.
And even money drawing away with ease.
And, we talked about V Pattern, and Maggie had mentioned that Jose Ortiz was warming the horse up. Well, I don't think there's anything that Jose could possibly do to get that horse to possibly show any speed. And the situation, Michelle Nevin has a very nice horse in her barn named Happy Medium, who has gone through his allowance conditions, winning his maiden with a 103 buyer, won a non-winners a 1 with a 103 the other day. And you have to imagine she's thinking, how can I get to the Carter here? Grade 1. Maybe the General George at Laurel, maybe here for a race like the Tom Fool or Toboggan, and then onwards. It's not easy to win a Grade 1. They don't grow on trees. But he is a horse that certainly could be a stakes quality performer. Looking forward to that. And a big fan of Michelle, and love to see her have that kind of good horse. And Samantha Siegel, the owner of Happy Medium, who's been in the game for a long time. Wish her the best of luck with that one. Exciting prospect.
Michelle Nevin with a win at Aqueduct, 4-3-9-8. Results forthcoming. We have a post parade and 3 races left at Oaklawn. These are 3-year-olds. Maiden special weight, $84,000 purse. That is Boat Song at 11-1.
Yeah, second-time starter. Took a little money first time out. Gets Lasix.
Big scratch. Mamzouj is out. Coastal Chaos in deep water at this level, I think.
There will be chaos in multi-race wagers in Arkansas if this horse wins.
Mini Conju. Bottled up and in traffic in his debut. He was compromised.
You have been excited since I told you about this horse's trip. This horse was entered on Friday, scratched for this race. Wanted a wet track,
trip on that afternoon. Yeah, Island Music.
Yeah, it seems a little bit overmatched.
Solid start to the meet for the Hall of Famer, the legend Dwayne Lucas, a Sky in Sand, Ramon Vasquez in the Reeves Thoroughbred colors.
Lost his debut to a horse who's on many short lists for the Derby, and Zandon, who probably should have been placed first in the Remsen, had a little bit of a trip last time and went second in maiden race.
House horse, owned by Oaklawn's president Louis Sella, first-time starter Sinner's Sin.
This horse worked a very impressive 10 flat, the 2-year-old sale. Not taking a lot of money, but there's a couple of short prices here.
Another first-time starter, Frisco Line, short-leaf stable, John Ed Anthony.
A homebred for short leaf, a Run Happy.
4-1. Allegan here, another first-time starter. This one by Derby Preakness winner California Chrome.
Yeah, not taking much money for Danny Pites, who also scratched that shorter-priced horse.
Cole Spur, another fresh face, debuting Colt, 2nd-2 for Brad Cox.
This was a very, very fast 10 flat, the 2-year-old sales back in March. I bet this horse has speed.
Unstable Prince at 25 to 1.
Yeah, first-time star, as you say, not taking a lot of money right now.
Cold on the board on the outside. Unstable Prince. Live look there at Cole Spur. These 3-year-olds, Gary Stevens, good maiden special weight event, 3/4 of a mile dash. What have we noticed in the trainer standings in the first 12 days or so of the meet here at Oaklawn?
Well, it's the usual suspects. Brad Cox, Robertino Diodoro, Asmussen, and the one that is a bit of surprise probably to a few people is John Alexander Ortiz. He's been on a roll. He's won 5 races with just a handful of starters. He's been on a roll here, but Brad Cox, no surprise. And Andy, just FYI, that 11 horse, he does look fast. He looks very fast. He was walking with a lot of purpose. The 4 horse had a nightmare trip last time that he ran. Probably should have been a lot closer than what he was. Luis Quinones had to stop him cold during the race. And then the 7 horse also looks like he's well meant. I like the looks of him. Maybe going to need one, but that 11 horse does look very, very fast, Andy.
You know, I'll tell you who I'm waiting for, and thank you for that, Gary. I'm waiting to see the 8 run. I bet the 4, by the way, here in box 411. Mini Conju had a huge trip last time. Tom Amos scratched the 8 vintage vinyl. It's the horse they paid $450,000. One of the owners, Joe Politi, of course, who had Serengeti Empress, sourced 20 4/5 very, very easily at the sale at Ocala. And I wonder if Tom scratched his horse because of the weather.
Probably the
track.
You know,
he was shipping this horse in from Fairgrounds to run here because the purses are so much stronger. So you get the feeling that Tom was coming to Oaklawn for a purpose with this one, but maybe didn't want to run the slop. I don't know. I didn't ask Tom. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe something happened. I hope not. But I look for that horse going forward.
These are always intriguing. These newly turned 3-year-olds. This maiden special weight race and an $84,000 purse. Good size field. Cole Spur. Gary agreed with you. Says he does look fast. We'll see how quick he is leaving the gate with a good speed rider in Martin Garcia. 4 trainer Brad Cox. Vic Stauffer with the call. 3-year-old sprinting 3/4 of a mile in the mud. Graduation day for one of them in the 7th race at Oaklawn.
Hey.
Unstable Prince. They're at the post. They're off. Very fast start for Coastal Chaos, who goes for the front, but he's now been passed by several horses, including Alagon, Sinner's a Sin, and to the outside, Cole Spur. Then at the rail, it's Boat Song. Then comes Sky and Sand and Frisco Line with Unstable Prince. Even though he broke on top, Coastal Chaos is now 3rd last with Mini Conju and Island Music. So it's Boat Song who rides the rail to a short lead. He's a length and a half in front of to the outside, and a Cole Spur who runs up to take 2nd. Sinner's Sin is 3rd at the rail. Here's Sky and Sand moving nicely. Up into 3rd, maybe into 2nd soon. Sky and Sand on the move for Ramon Vasquez. 3 back to Frisco Line. Mini Conju has 5 lengths to make up. Island Music outside of him. And then comes Alagon, Unstable Prince. And at the top of the stretch, it is Boat Song with Sky and Sand. And these two are 1-2. And Sky and Sand has taken over the front. And he's done it smartly to lead by 2.5 lengths. Now Frisco Line is running up on the outside and getting into 2nd. But Sky and Sand, a 16th out, is going to give Ramon Vasquez his 3rd win on the day, and he's putting on a show now. Sky and Sand in front. Sky and Sand won by 7 lengths. Frisco Line was 2nd, Island Music 3rd, Mini Conju finished 4th.
That's a good colt.
Yeah.
Had faced stronger. Catches this group, trying to lug in a little bit right there. But here, switches over. Ramon Vasquez hits the accelerator, and Sky and Sand is gone.
Oh, it's nice to see Reeve Thoroughbred do well. Dean Reeves, Dean and Patty, 2 really nice people, so happy for them. This horse did run extremely well in here. Mini Conju, it might be time for a jockey change after a couple of less than terrific trips in his races. He wasn't winning, but he was 2nd best in here. Mini Conju is one to keep an eye on, but he was never beating this horse, I'll tell you that.
Gary Stevens on site. Gary, how impressed were you by what we just saw from Sky and Sand at Oaklawn?
Like I always say, gray horses in the mud, but I wanted to let Andy know that vintage vinyl, he's fine. Tom Amos, he had some concerns about the weather and the possibility about not running, so he did not put him on the van, but he's doing just fine, Andy.
Good, and Tom's probably happy he didn't meet this horse.
Not on this afternoon. Not on that afternoon. Excellent effort. Sky and Sand graduates. Vintage Vinyl. Look forward to seeing him resurface. And when we return, the road to the Triple Crown, just over 4 months till the 148th Kentucky Derby. Trio of qualifying races to recap. Not all horses that earned points run in the Derby. Preakness a couple of weeks later in Baltimore. Fun story with Rombauer last year. And the Belmont Stakes. Last year's test of the champion. Won by a champion.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, multi-millionaire Shivaji, plus these standout performers. Now his biggest book in the past decade will be 3-year-olds in 2022. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
For 3 generations, the Bond Racing Stable has held to a simple philosophy. If you take care of the horses, they will take care of you. That guiding principle drives every aspect of operations at the family's Songhill Farm and Racing Stables. From breeding to breaking, racing and retiring, our commitment to our horses is reflected in everything we do. Now you can join our Grade 1 winning team with racing partnerships starting as low as $3,000. Bond Racing Stables, 3 generations of thoroughbred excellence.
Spun to Run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Peek out the window. Go ahead. We do it all the time before heading outside. We want to know, is it hot, cold, raining, snowing? Horses, they're a lot like people. The weather affects them. When you're looking for winners, there are so many different ways that you could factor in weather conditions into which horse you pick. But let's start out with the most basic. In the top right corner of any race, there's a section described as wet. That lists the results for each individual horse over a wet track, like a muddy track, a sloppy track, or just a good track. The number on the far left represents how many times they've run over a wet track, and the next 3 numbers represent how many times they finished first, second, and third in those types of races. You can also find horses for courses by looking at how they've done over this racetrack in previous races.
Information we've needed to apply this weekend quite a bit. Wet tracks at Oaklawn, here at Aqueduct, where the 9th is in the books. And I'm now joined by Maggie Wolfendale, like a post position switch from outside to inside in here on
Thank
the set.
God.
Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Happy New Year, too. It was starting to get pretty frigid outside. The temperature was lovely to start the day, Lafitte, and it progressively just dropped. But we did see some good racing. Bank Sting getting the win in the La Verdad, and a nice little nightcap to close things out in the Maiden.
No, great stuff all afternoon, as always.
Thank you.
John Terranova got that sense, just a big sigh of relief that she was able to get home. It's such a short price in a stakes race.
So true, and I think the track was ultimately against her, as was evidenced by this last race here, and we saw the horse 42 Ace, heavy favorite in here, Lafitte, coming back off a long layoff, dropping from maiden special weight to the 25 speed, rode the rail to victory, and the second place finisher didn't break that well Bohemian Ruby with Kendrick Carmouche aboard, but Kendrick knew, and as he always does, that's why he's the leading rider here, that the track is playing towards the inside. He took advantage of that inside and was able to hold on second, but a long way back to second as 42 Ace gets the win for Michelle Nevin, but going back to a different barn.
claimed out of this one.
Yeah. I
And-
believe a three-way shake, although I didn't get
Because
who
it's-
was the new trainer.
It's not the healthiest of patterns when you see the combination of a long layoff and a class drop, and you try to get creative, finding someone else in there, and then 42 Ace goes out there and does that.
Yeah, there was that. I think the horse maybe that you want to pay attention to coming out of there is number 8, Forced Wood Lane, on the 4-wide chase throughout and just beaten half a length. For 4th, I should say.
Late pick 5, just over 590. You had that big Charlotte Webley. That was the one that still, you can go back, look at that race for, however long you can Monday morning quarterback most wins. And it's from some angle. This one, impossible.
Yeah, she had some good races on the way back, but her recent form was better on the turf. And what a ride that we saw Stephen Frett give her, just the seas parting, and he scooted up the rail despite her wanting to drift out a little bit late, was able to hold sway.
It's like she got lost. Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to be? What am I doing out here?
I'm actually winning a race?
It's supposed to be horses in front of me at the wire.
Yeah.
Big payout there with $33. 9 up, 9 down. Aqueduct, Oaklawn, 3 races left. Maggie, you were watching this race from just offset. You can see there Sky and San Ramon Vasquez trying to pull him off his rivals to his inside once he straightened out. The acceleration in the stretch, and he makes short work of a good field.
Yeah, this guy had been running against Better Up here in New York. First time out was beaten 2 lengths by Zandon, who, I mean, as Andy was saying earlier, should have possibly been put up in the Remsen and just, beaten just a nose that day too by Mo Donegal. But Sky and Sand, he really put this field to bed, and cutting back to the 6 furlongs for Steve Asmussen. As you mentioned, Ramon Vasquez having a huge day out there in Arkansas.
440, yeah. Vasquez with 3 wins so far. Still 2 left at Oaklawn Park. 6-9-5 in the 7th race at Oaklawn. Onward and upward for Sky and Sand. And that'll be kind of the theme as we recap a lot of the exciting stakes racing yesterday and Derby qualifying races. That's coming up next. Busy New Year's Day. Cavassier improving, stock rising as he captures the Jerome at Aqueduct, and in Hot Springs, Dash Attack, in just his 2nd career start, remains undefeated in the Smarty Jones. We'll recap.
Run Happy is the #1 second crop sire by stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual Future Pool 1 favorite. A leading dirt sire, and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Still have 2 live races coming up, including the featured event from Oaklawn, Good Sprint for $100,000. Those are older sprinters. Yesterday, the story was the newly turned 3-year-olds. You know, we were talking about Derby fever at the top of yesterday's show, and how as soon as these horses turn 3, and so much focus on the Derby and the road to the Triple Crown, and rightfully so, with the qualifying races getting started at Oaklawn and right here in New York with the first step towards the Wood Memorial. This was the Jerome yesterday, 153 years of history, Maggie. And at the top of the stretch, Crevassier, who really sees, it's dark if you can make it out. I promise you, that's Crevassier, steadily improving with Jose Ortiz in the saddle.
He is a regally bred son of Tappet, out of Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner, Phillies winner, Take Charge Brandy, also a multiple Grade 1 winner herself, too. And this guy, it took him a while to break through. As we saw him break his maiden, and he was flattered by a horse that came back in constitutional law today to win. So this win here, you know, the track yesterday may have been a little bit different, looked a little bit wetter too. He was tracking, you know, 3 to 4 wide throughout. We saw him go down to the rail later, but the horse he dueled with, Hagler, he finished well behind here. The 7-5 favorite, Cook Creek, a bit green and not wanting to switch leads, kind of idling in the stretch. And it just seems as though this guy for Kelly Breen and Connections is getting better with each and every start. A modest 73 Beyer speed figure to win this Jerome, but still, it's early in the season, earning 10 points to the Kentucky Derby.
That was what does that tell you in terms of gauging the performance of 73 Beyer speed figure at this time of year with the calendar just having turned?
The argument could be made, too, that he was actually cutting back from his maiden victory, that he is a better horse going a bit longer. So maybe with the next step out to, the Withers,
right,
at 1 1/8 miles, maybe we see that Beyer speed figure increase a little bit. So it's, you know, right now, don't rush to judgment, I think is the bottom line.
But he you know, he is improving, has the pedigree to be effective at longer distances, and 10 points towards the Kentucky Derby. As for Jose Ortiz, he's never won a Derby. He was close, second on Good Magic in 2018. His reaction following yesterday's victory in the Jerome aboard Crevassier.
I felt good. I knew I was in good range, and Kelly and the assistant trainer, they gave me good instruction. They say, don't give up on him. He's gonna keep coming. You just gotta keep asking him, and that's what he did. By the 3-8 pole, I had to start asking him, and he kept digging in, and you know, passing the 16 pole, I knew I was home.
Horses like that kind of have that relentless stride. Do you feel like going further shouldn't be any problem?
I think it shouldn't be for him. He already won 2 turns, I believe, and he's by Tappet. He's well bred, so you know, we hope he can go farther with this kind of horses. You know, you're gonna get tougher and tougher, but he's improving the right way.
So now, Jose, you made the decision to stay here this year. Better balance for your family, balance professionally, personally, but making trips to Florida and elsewhere to find a Derby horse. Chance maybe you find a Derby horse right here in New York.
Hopefully. I had done it before, but yeah, we're gonna be traveling all over the States, and hopefully we find a good horse. I think we will.
Has to be thinking, Jack Christopher or Crevassier, I'm going to have to make a decision at some point. He rides some good young prospects, but I think, yeah, as you mentioned, the key, the improvement that we're seeing from Crevassier moving forward.
Yeah, as Jose mentioned, you know, he's a horse that has a little bit of that grinding style where more distance is better. And you could see him lengthening his stride late in the game. So he has that good tactical early speed. That's a feather in any horse's cap. You know, it's tough to be a deep closer in this game. There's so many more things you have to overcome, such as traffic and trips and pace. So this horse has the right tools to be successful. It's will he keep improving?
Is he good enough? That was one of the bigger stories with the Smarty Jones, with this big field and a short run into the first turn going a mile. You know, who was going to get the trip in the Smarty Jones? And the horse drawn towards the very inside took full advantage. Dash Attack, least experienced, just his second career start, really picking up momentum, gathering momentum right in the far turn with David Cohen.
What a ride by David Cohen, too. Yes, taking advantage of that inside draw, but saved ground, kept him in a good position throughout, was able to just find that seam, split horses, and then once this horse got clear, check out his ears, Lafitte. He's happy. He's happy doing this. He gives you the impression that, you know, there's still a little bit of greenness, you know, typical of a young horse that doesn't have that much experience. They hit the front and they're like, whoa, where's everybody else? But also giving the impression that there's a lot left in the tank. And David Cohen saying that he was a horse that was just really kind of getting going in the last eighth of a mile.
You give him extra credit, or you're that much more impressed, because if he's able to do that, win that easily while still kind of figuring it all out, if he's still a little immature, like what is he capable of once he puts it all together physically and mentally?
Now he's also going to have to prove himself on a fast track. Granted, the Derby in recent years has been pretty wet, so maybe that's a good thing for him. But he is a horse that has yet to run on a fast track, so maybe he gets even better. He did run an 82 Beyer yesterday, but the fact that he ran so professionally in only his second start, I think, as far as taking traffic, that big field, taking a lot of kickback, I think speaks volumes with this horse. And what about Kenny McPeak, his trainer? He seems loaded for bear with promising newly turned 3-year-olds.
Add Dash Attack's name to that list. Gary Stevens, your lasting impression of that performance, Dash Attack running away from the competition yesterday's Smarty Jones.
I was so impressed by it visually during the race and after the race, talking with David Cohen. Actually spoke again with David after the races and really kind of got into his head a little bit. And he just said that he's so intelligent and it's like he's done everything before. He broke flat-footed yesterday and he didn't rush him up. He knew that there was other speed, plenty of speed in the race, but just watching all the moves that he made down the backside, he ran like a horse that's run 15 times, not a second out of his life. And he said that, we had the short finish yesterday because it was a flat mile, so they only raced to the 16th pole. And he was in some traffic, and he swung him out into the lane, and he said in like 3 jumps he had made the lead and thought he made the lead too early. And the thing he liked most about him is he didn't pull up. He didn't try and pull up like most young horses will. He was very willing to go on. He said he galloped out extremely strong, and thinks that, a mile and an eighth is only going to help him up to a mile and a quarter. He loved everything about him, and I can't disagree with anything that David had to say. Super impressive, guys.
Gary Stevens knows what it takes to win a Kentucky Derby, having won 3 of them during the course of his Hall of Fame career. Maggie, watching the performance itself and Dash Attack looking like at a distance shouldn't be that much of an issue, but you see what his pedigree is.
Right.
He is by Munnings. I mean, how do you factor the two based on what you saw in the Smarty Jones and the fact that his sire was predominantly a sprinter?
Munnings, though, I think has been somewhat of an overachieving sire, much like his sire in Speightstown, and that, yes, they predominantly throw sprinters, but you've seen horses by them that go on to obviously win turf races, but a lot of these Munnings actually are pretty, versatile and adaptable to these longer distances. And Kenny McPeak is a guy that I think can train a horse to get maybe a little bit more ground than what they're ultimately bred to do.
We saw Speightstown sire Haynesfield, correcting Jockey Club Gold Cup winner. So, yeah, you do see that
exactly
from time to time. So eager to see what these prospects do moving forward, taking down these first steps towards the Wood Memorial here in the Jerome, the Smarty Jones towards the Arkansas Derby as everybody starts to catch Kentucky Derby fever with the newly turned 3-year-olds. But coming up next is the feature at Oaklawn. We're not talking 3-year-olds. These are older sprinters. $100,000 sprint from Oaklawn. Also a recap of the Sham a little bit later on out west in California. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
Hands down, one of the most impressive horses I've ever seen physically.
Independence Hall is pouring it on here in the Nashua Stakes, won by maybe a dozen lengths.
Independence Hall wins the Hagyard Fayette.
Hello, you've reached the offices of West Point Thoroughbreds. Please leave your name and your number, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay, starting to move now. He's 4th. He's on the outside now. He's pressing him now. There's the 1, the 7, and the 6. He's on the lead. There's another horse on the inside of him. He's pulling away. He's going to win this race.
Irish Hill and Dutchess View stallions. Proudly standing the ultra-fast, multiple stakes-winning son of Uncle Mo, King for a Day, who took the Sub-Martin Stakes at Pimlico in his first start at 3.
King for a Day, who'll rule supreme in the Sir Martin.
And the only horse to outrun 2019 3-year-old champion Maximum Security.
Maximum Security has been defeated. King for a Day by a leg.
Sire maker extraordinaire Uncle Mo's King for a Day. Visit IHDBStallions.com to book your mare today.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com.
Winding down New Year's weekend, live look Aqueduct have 2 races left. Oaklawn, welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Naira Bets. But any track, anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Get started at NairaBets.com or download the app. Featured event, Oaklawn Park. You're looking at Molto Vivace. Tiago Pereira aboard at 15-1.
Yeah, this horse ran well last time out at Churchill, but the winner did not come back to run well in a subsequent start.
Mo's Mojo, fifth at this level opening week.
Mo's Mojo swung widest of all and is facing horses that he faced last time out, including Chip Off the Old Block.
Vulcan, Maggie's not a Trekkie, neither am I. Oaklawn debut.
Yeah, I have no idea about Star Wars at all.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. See, that's how much I know.
The 6th Full Authority, first after the claim, Greg Compton.
Yeah, this guy has run some good races in the past. He's going to have to find some of that form to be competitive here.
Up striker, David Cabrera, 13-1, followed by number 8, Silver Moon Road, first after the claim, Matt Williams.
Faced American Pharoah's little brother last time out in Triple Tap. A good field, but is claimed off of Peter Miller. Sometimes that can be tough to do.
Chip Off the Old Block just missed at this level opening week.
Behind a runaway leader and Top Gunner. Took a good run at him, though. Ran well.
Full Impact. He's like a rarely seen comet, literally. Third career start. He's a 5-year-old.
He's very fast. If he can get back to his good races for Brad Cox, then he's the likeliest winner.
And more on Whiskey Double in a moment, contender. And then a Spiteful Sam. Whoever Sam is, I'm sure he appreciates the name.
Yeah, but how about Joe Frazier? Does he appreciate that name?
Frazier, that's not. I mean, it's like a grade 1 type of name, grade 1 type. Joe Frazier to the outside at 10-1. That's the field for the 8th race and the Sunday feature at Oaklawn Park. All eyes on the comebacking Full Impact. It's been over a year, but when he shows up, he runs fast, and he wins 2 for 2 thus far for trainer Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. We check in with Gary at Oaklawn. Your thoughts, Gary, with Full Impact, who we're looking at here. Been a long time. He's the one to beat.
Yeah, listen, what you guys said, if he shows up and he's as fast as he was in the past, which I have every reason to believe that he probably is, Brad Cox, pro at getting these horses wound up and ready off the layoff, and he looked great down in the paddock. And then Whiskey Double, let's not forget about him. His last race was clear back in May. He's been rested, but look, he was 11-1 against Jackie's Warrior, was only beaten 4 1/4 lengths, and we know how good Jackie's Warrior is. He was second in the Bayshore last year, grade 3, so he's extremely fast as well, and he doesn't need the lead. He comes from off the pace, whereas Full Impact, who knows, there's some other speed in here. I don't know if they've got Full Impact's type of speed, but if he's hooked early, it'll take its toll over this racetrack, guys.
Full Impact in the hot pink colors of Gary and Mary West with Florent Giroux aboard. But let's get back to Whiskey Double and his back class, Maggie. The fact that he was second to grade 1 Woody Stevens when he drained the clock in the Bayshore in New York.
And then, as Gary was mentioning, third behind Jackie's Warrior, in which Jackie's Warrior and Dream Shake, they kind of ran 1-2 around the racetrack, and he had all the ground to make up here, as we will see him last now behind the gray horse, will swing out here and rally to get second in the middle of the racetrack, where drain the clock, he's already done that. I mean, he's on his way to victory here, and this is a horse that I saw actually quite a few times. I mean, going back to, well, this race here, then prior to that at Oaklawn, the day that he won, turning back off the fairgrounds effort. And I really liked him. He is ultimately a sprinter. So I like the fact that we're keeping him here sprinting. Obviously, it makes sense coming off the layoff, too. But a horse that I think had a lot of promise as an early 3-year-old.
Whiskey Double, second choice, 7-2, Full Impact over a year ago, November 2020 at Aqueduct, showing that speed on a wet track, top of the stretch. He turns it on and he is gone.
I think it's interesting too, you know, Gary and Mary West, sometimes they lose a little bit of patience possibly with horses. They're apt to sell them. Obviously, he showed a lot of promise. He does switch back to his inside lead here, a horse that you would think has a little bit of trouble staying sound because he didn't make his first start until a late 3-year-old. They held on to him, though. He does go to Brad Cox, as Gary was saying. Brad, very good. I kind of narrowed it down, 9-month to a 1.5 year layoff after a trainer change. He's 5 for 20, so 25% right in line with what Brad Cox does. We'll see what he does here. It is a considerable layoff to overcome. He does get another wet track, though.
Stepping forward, Full Impact with Florent Giroux. A little hesitant, coaxed forward. He is the favorite. Whiskey Double to his outside, and we'll turn things over to Vic Stauffer, all set for the featured event from Oaklawn, this sprint for older horses, and a $101,000 purse. Here's Vic Stauffer.
More. Upstriker, Spiteful Sam, and Joe Frazier. They're at the post. They're off. Silver Moon Road and Full Impact break well. Spiteful Sam is close up as well. Upstriker and Full Authority at the rail. 6 across the track as Joe Frazier joins that battle. Molto Vivace is next, then Vulcan and Chip Off the Old Block with Whiskey Double, and the trailer is Mo's Mojo. It is Full Authority up the backstretch with a length and a quarter lead over Silver Moon Road. A 4-wide Spiteful Sam. Full Impact is tightly between horses and shuffles back. Full Impact has just been passed by Joe Frazier. Whiskey Double's on the move. He is 5 wide, but moving up alongside Chip Off the Old Block, then Vulcan and Mo's Mojo. They round the far turn. Full Authority is the leader. It is Full Authority, a length in front of Silver Moon Road, Joe Frazier, and a Spiteful Sam. Whiskey Double continues to advance. He's in the center in the white cap within 2 of the lead. Full Authority, the one to catch. It is Full Authority, a 2-length advantage. Whiskey Double is next, then Joe Frazier, Mo's Mojo, and Chip Off the Old Block. Full Authority, Whiskey Double, Chip Off the Old Block, maybe up into third. Full Authority, Whiskey Double. These two, Full Authority, Whiskey Double, Whiskey Double. Whiskey Double nailed Full Authority right on the money. Joe Frazier third, Chip Off the Old Block, finish 4th.
Driving finish with Whiskey Double closing on the outside and getting up just in time with Ricardo Santana for his Hall of Fame trainer, Steve Asmussen.
This was a good return to the races. He did need every bit of this Oaklawn stretch to get the win over Full Authority, who ran absolutely brilliantly. First off the claim here for Greg Compton. I would think a big step forward back to some of those better races that he had at Oaklawn. He obviously is a horse that, while he's never won there, has run his fastest races there, has an affinity for the racetrack. But again, he won't get a win as Whiskey Double just gets up here. But the big story here, Lafitte, I think Full Impact with a no-show effort.
You could tell when he dropped back to mid-pack, and it looked like Florent Giroux was trying to encourage him to pick it up, and there was just no response whatsoever. And a non-factor for Full Impact, his first race in over a year, lightly raced 5-year-old, and much more expected today. Florent Giroux taking care of Full Impact, and just not his day, and we'll see what happens moving forward. Whiskey Double, the colt with the back class, though, impressive in the stretch and able to get there just in time over the long shot. Full Authority results in reaction following this 8th race at Oaklawn Park. We've been recapping the 3-year-old prep races, the Jerome here in New York, the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn Park, and out west, the 3-year-olds in the Sham and the first step towards the Santa Anita Derby, and how strong that combination has been this winter so far out west. John Velasquez, Bob Baffert.
Introducing a stallion as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Beyer speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. As always, brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app. Feature race at Oaklawn. Whiskey Double just finding his best stride, Maggie, but fanned about 6 wide on the far turn, losing ground.
Yeah, he did not have the most advantageous post position out in the 10 hole from where he was, and Ricardo Santana relentless for Steve Asmussen here. Whiskey Double coming back off the layoff, dating back to late May here, and Full Authority running really well in defeat as well for New Connections. Greg Compton first off the claim at Oaklawn, but this son of Into Mischief looked to have a lot of promise early on as a 3-year-old and has missed most of the season, but good to see him back at it now as a 4-year-old.
1160. Full Authority at 28-1 to complete the exacta. Joe Frazier at 9-1 to complete the trifecta, 681 and change. Whiskey Double the winner here, Gary Stevens. But part of the story here, the disappointing effort from Full Impact. You had a chance to speak with his rider, Florent Giroux. What did he tell you?
I was very blunt about it, and Brad Cox was standing there when I asked him any excuses, and he said, no, Gary. He said, you know how you get bounced around at the start sometimes and they don't react to it well? That didn't happen. He said he broke straight, broke smooth, was up underneath him. Horses were staying away from him on the outside, no crowding or anything. And he said that he chirped to him a few times to get him back up into the bridle, and he just, like, I don't like this surface that I'm running on. I've had that happen to myself plenty of times where horse says, no, this is as fast as I'm going to run today. Don't like the surface. So he's hoping that it was the surface, but he pulled up sound, happy enough, but just didn't like this going today, guys.
You had said that at the top of the show. This type of track, this drying out track, you had compared it to peanut butter, that for whatever, some horses just, they don't take to it, and that you said we could see some upsets today. We could see some horses no-show specifically because of these types of tracks, and that some horses just don't take to it.
Yeah, Lafitte, I mean, sometimes they're just throw-out races. You draw a line through them as a trainer, as a rider, hope for a fast track, and when it shows up like this again, if it does again, they more than likely will take him out.
See about full impact moving forward. Hopefully resurfaces before too long. Gary Stevens, thanks so much. Still have one race left at Oaklawn Park, the 9th and final. We touched on the 3-year-old preps, and out west it was the start to the road to the Santa Anita Derby and the Sham Stakes yesterday afternoon. And Newgrange, much like the winner of the Smarty Jones, Maggie, in just his 2nd career start, thrust his name into the mix.
I'm going to say the other riders handed this one to the Hall of Fame John Velasquez. To go as slow as he did to the half, I mean, that's like gift wrap, bow on top, confetti, blah. Like, I mean, this horse, I don't know why Flavien Prat, I would have thought maybe, I guess because they're both Baffert, both similar ownership, you don't kind of go after your stablemate in attack. The horse who actually ran really well was Oviat Class, who is the only horse that earns any points to the Kentucky Derby. He ran really well because he is a deep closer and the pace just really against him.
So what is the situation now for 2-time Triple Crown winning trainer Bob Baffert regarding horses that he trains, 3-year-olds? Because he does not earn 10 points. Newgrange, the winner, towards the Kentucky Derby as a result of this win in the Sham Stakes. How do things stand as of now?
No, as of now, Churchill Downs is not allowing him to have any horses entered. They will not be able to run in the Kentucky Derby, so therefore they have no points. That's the only way you can get into the Derby is if you get points. And as I mentioned earlier, Kenny McPeak has 3 of the top 10 horses going into the Kentucky Derby, at least early on here, with Dash Attack, Smile Happy, and Rattle and Roll. You got to wonder, Lafitte, with these owners, you presumably would want to run in the Kentucky Derby. Do they keep these horses with Baffert?
That's a story to monitor moving forward for a trainer that's won more Kentucky Derbies than anyone else and still waiting for the result of last year's Kentucky Derby. And that continues to be tied up, and we await a result. The road to the Derby is underway, though, with these 2-year-olds now having turned 3. And at Hot Springs, with all the Derby preps and so much history and maybe something you did not know about the home of Oaklawn Park, Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's next.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires, ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. No stallion has a better strike rate. Recent top runners include Group 1 winner Homesman, graded stakes winners Master of Foxhounds, Ancient Rome, and Bombard. Plus Annapolis, who became his sire's 100th stakes winner. In the auction ring, his progeny continued to command top dollar. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancerstud.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
It's a great setting for the horse. When Mr. Gaines built it, he built it with the horse in mind. And everything about it is just natural to the horse.
The history here runs deep. I just hope we can add a page to it.
The Gainesway roster at the moment is a very youthful roster. We have a lot of young horses. With that youth, you never know where the next great stallion is going to come from.
Stallion like Tappet comes along once in a lifetime. We all realize we would be extremely, extremely fortunate to ever be around another horse that good. But it's our goal. It's our goal to try to get another Tappet.
He was an extremely highly accomplished 2-year-old.
Tappet! Tons of horse all the way around the track, comes home for a cruise in the Futurity.
I've loved Tappet. First crop I remember seeing Start and Bound at the first 2-year-old sale. She worked 3/8 and worked awesome. I was like, that's a really neat filly. Tappet as a stallion, he's unbelievable. You know, 8 champions. And he's like fine wine, he gets better with age.
The goals are straightforward. We're going to expand our stallion roster through syndication. Anthony wants to aggressively build this stallion roster.
And really buy stallion prospects at a younger age via yearling sales, 2-year-olds, or even breeding our own at home. Right now, we're really focusing on that because, you know, Gainesway's been an unbelievable consignor as long as Brian's been in charge. Now we're trying to bring Gainesway to the forefront in all aspects of the industry.
In my career at Gainesway, initially was building our sales program. In the Keeneland sales and Fasig-Tipton, you get pretty amped up trying to achieve your clients' goals. Last year we were the second leading consignor of thoroughbreds in North America. That helps us all sleep better.
Thank you, gentlemen. $1,650,000.
Signed by Gainesway. We're ambitious to go get new stallions. We're ambitious to get very high quality stallions. And we're ambitious to carry on a great tradition here at Gainesway that Mr. Gaines started. The Beck family has continued on.
I'm excited about all of them. Caraconti's off to a wonderful start. I'm excited about Tappert's chances at stud.
Horses like Tappet, who was a $1.2 million yearling and a classic winner, and is by Tappet himself.
McKinsey is a stallion prospect. It's the first stallion prospect I was part of at Gainesway. He was always top class. His Whitney at Saratoga is one of my favorite races of his.
McKinsey has won the Whitney!
The Book of Mares he got was unbelievable. We're really excited about him at Gainesway right now.
You never know where the next good horse is coming from, and as long as we're out there bringing them in, the sky's the limit.
Pride, the tradition, so much to be excited about at Gainesway, and Tappet already having sired 4 Belmont Stakes winners. Much more on America's Day at the Races. Live coverage continuing from Oaklawn.
During Leo McLaughlin's 22-year run as mayor of Hot Springs, starting in 1926, the city became a haven for notorious criminals and gangsters, most notably Al Capone.
A lot of people aren't aware of the fact that in 1931, Las Vegas, Nevada had 5,000 people in it and no high-rise hotels. Everyone was there to build the Boulder Dam, which became the Hoover Dam. At the same time, in 1931, Hot Springs had 20,500 people in it, 22 high-rise hotels, and $100 million in gambling income. The only difference was here in Arkansas, it was illegal, but it was okay.
During the spring, tourists could find themselves rubbing elbows with gangsters and Major League Baseball players.
Everyone year-round could enjoy the hot mineral baths, hunting and fishing and gambling. But in the spring, it was the opening of the live thoroughbred race meet at Oaklawn Park. And man, was it a happening place.
Cool town, colorful history, and some of the characters that have frequented Hot Springs over the years.
Yeah, and they are still, the gangsters were devoted to racing. The entire town still, in modern day, is devoted to racing. I mean, they take it seriously. And I think that's not necessarily that Oaklawn physically is like Saratoga. I think it's the whole kind of mantra and viewpoint of its inhabitants, of the racegoers, that they compare it, and it's gained the moniker the Saratoga of the South.
Saratoga of the South, where like everyone in town, the focus and the energy around the racetrack itself, and you hear conversations at dinner tables, you know, the night before the races, that they're talking handicapping, they're talking about the horses on the next day, and the fans themselves, and how the energy, the electricity on a big day at Oaklawn, it's a rabid, enthusiastic fan base.
Oh, it really is, and people just get so excited about the racing, and it was nice. I'm sure you've been out there, and people, you know, they know who you are, and it's always a great environment to go to a racetrack, and people aren't there just to, you know, kick a few back. They have their programs. They are studying. They are there to wager, gamble, and to, on top of it, have fun and see the horses.
You've actually stayed at the new resort. I haven't. How is
lovely. You can wake up with your morning coffee and watch workouts of horses, you know, galloping around the clubhouse
That's
turn.
awesome.
It's beautiful. It's really, you know, kind of state of the art as far as accommodations go. And I didn't get to check out the spa. That was not done, but hopefully I get to go back this year and, you know, see what they have in store as far as the spa is concerned.
It's you know, Oaklawn, now the most lucrative winter racing in North America. You saw the allowance race that we just covered with a $101,000 purse. You have, you know, $85,000, $100,000 purse for maiden races. This maiden race, an $84,000 purse. And what you're seeing is better racing and horses. It does become a melting pot coming from all different jurisdictions, and how deep and competitive the jockey colony has become over the last few years.
Well, to be honest, they had to. If they were going to stay relevant, because they're the only, other than, you know, obviously we have year-round racing here in New York, and the money is lucrative as well. But people seeking southern states to race in are going there primarily for the turf. They don't have a turf course there. They have to make their dirt racing the best in the country, and they've done it. And you can see with the field sizes, with the quality, and over many years, the Derby winner or the Derby favorite coming from the Arkansas Derby.
The path paved by Smarty Jones, and claiming the business in the first 7 days. There were 70-some-odd claims, around 1.7 million. I'm sure we've eclipsed $2 million. And then this is, you know, where Ron Moquett is based, and how popular Whitmore was. Top-class sprinter Ron Moquett, who, by the way, kind of caught the racing world off guard by putting up his tweet and his favorite all-time racing movies. Moquett is represented, by the way, in this 9th race at Oaklawn with Good Luck Charm. Your response when you saw his top 10?
I was gobsmacked. For a guy that is kind of southern, to not have Casey Shadow on your top 10?
If she sounds offended, it's because she is.
To have, no offense to Disney and stuff like that, but Secretariat and Dreamer on there and no Casey Shadow? I mean, come on.
Maybe he just hasn't seen it.
He said he hasn't seen it.
He said, well.
We had a conversation. He said you have to, I had never seen Boots Malone. Said you have to watch that. I enjoyed Boots Malone. I hope he's enjoyed Casey Shadow.
And give him credit for not just, you know, putting it on the list because it belongs there when he hasn't seen it.
Yeah, this is true.
Right.
This is true. So once he explained that to me, I gave him a pass, and I said, you'll love it. Have you seen Casey Shadow?
Yes.
Yeah,
Finally, and I had. Recently I saw it.
Oh, really?
It
is my hands down my favorite racing movie.
Far Lap for me.
Okay. Ooh, that's a tearjerker. I mean, they're all tearjerkers, but I love Far Lap as well. And there's a new movie coming out called Jockey.
Okay.
It's limited release, I believe, in New York and California.
Jockey.
Yeah, just Jockey.
Okay. There have been
saw
some
the previews
terrific.
on Twitter.
I did love Seabiscuit, not just because Gary Stevens.
No, I love
listening
Seabiscuit too.
to us, and Let It Ride, who we had. That is Let It Ride is awesome.
Yeah, it's
Let
classic.
It Ride is great.
Classic racetrack.
Some great horse racing films over the years, and the racing continues. Terrific racing at Oaklawn on this dark Sunday in the mud. One left. These maidens going a mile and a 16th. Make the turn, and we have the post parade starting with 10 gauge. 10 gauge with Giovanni Franco aboard. Gun runners have all turned 3, and I'm excited about it.
Right? He got better with age, and they were really good as 2-year-olds. As it's a little bit of a mistake in the running line. It has him at the middle call being 12 by 12. He was second. He hit the lead a little bit early, kind of got lost interest a bit. He's a legitimate player here.
Constitutional Law, followed by Hellman. Third start in as many surfaces, essentially. Blinkers on.
They paid $475,000 for this horse as a yearling. He recently sold in the Keeneland mixed sale for $23,000.
Centurion, 16-1.
First off, the claim for Lindsay Schultz. She's searching for her first win of the year.
So close to a first win a couple of days back. Here's a Good Luck Charm. Second-time starter for Ron Moquett.
This horse ran 5.5 first time out, and the way he moved Lafitte, he's going to love going longer.
Chisholm Trail, John Ed Anthony owned, first-time starter.
Have to Spirit Animal. Fans of New York racing will know that name. A lot more turf on the bottom side.
The 5-year-old by Medaglia d'Oro.
You going to get this right?
Because I don't know. No.
Or a Fetche.
Or a Fetche.
I believe. Yeah, he's been a disappointment, to be honest, Lafitte.
Spoiled, though. Mark Hennig, Shug McGahee, now Steve Asmussen.
Yeah.
Grace's Secret. Hunch play for you. I mean, come on.
Last time I was up here with Greg, I think, and I think Face is a tougher field this time. It was a bit disappointing, but did have the excuse of getting off slow.
The favorite, Fan Club, 9-5, 2 minutes out.
He was game. I mean, the 1-2 finishers came from well back where he was battling the whole way and broiled in a somewhat quick pace at Fairgrounds last time.
Serbian Sailor, Arkansas bred, a 24 race maiden.
Yep, looks as though he might be a 25 race maiden after this.
These maidens go in a mile and a 16th, 3-year-olds and older. Gary Stevens, your first Derby with a filly beating the boys, right? Winning colors. There's a filly in this one trying to beat the boys.
And she's gray. And I got a little backstory here. Giovanni Franco rode her last time out, wanted to stretch her out. Mike Puch did stretch her out, chose to go. There was no races for the fillies, so he decided to go ahead and run her. I came up with another call in the race for Steve Asmussen, and Mike being nice enough and a buddy of mine, he said, look, he's got 2,000 horses. I got 12 here. So he said, I'm going to put the girl on. I'll get all the weight, get the 5 pounds female allowance as well. She's in with 113 pounds, and I asked Chelsea this morning, I said, can you do the 112? She said, I can do 110. So little backstory there on her. He had actually talked about putting blinkers on her and said, no, I don't want to put blinkers on her. She'll show too much speed. But I think she's a very interesting prospect in here, guys.
Grace's Secret, the filly taking on the boys, Gary and Chelsea Bailey, who did win a race maybe 2 days ago here at Oaklawn Park, had a winner.
Isn't she a minor cage fighter?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not messing with her.
Nope, me neither. Some tough girls, tough women riders out there at Oaklawn, including my girl Kelsey Haar. Big fan of Kelsey. But yeah, Grace's Secret, stretching out, you would think it makes sense because, as Gary kind of alluding to, she should be forwardly placed. Hopefully she can break just a bit, more fastly this time around. But taking on the boys, again, gets in with a much lower weight than most of these here. At times has run some races to be fast enough. The race 2 back off the layoff. I'm going the 5.5, makes her kind of in the buyer scale, a player. I think she's in a little bit tough here, though.
I know that they're all individuals, and there's no one blanket response for this question, but we see the girls beat the boys a lot. As 2-year-olds in the spring, in the summer, they all just turned 3 at the stroke of midnight on January 1st on New Year's Day. How do you feel about the fillies taking on the boys at this stage, very, very, very early on in their 3-year-old season?
Well, she's a 4-year-old now, though.
Oh yeah,
and now these are all these are older,
But in this case,
geldings.
a 4-year-old filly taking on the boys.
As you kind of mentioned, as 2-year-olds, as early 3-year-olds. Look, Rachel Alexandra beat older boys, but she was a vast exception to the rule. She was something special. It gets harder because the boys have now physically matured and the girls are what they are, whereas, when they're 2-year-olds, Pony acting up quite badly there with the number 2 horse.
You can sympathize.
Yeah, right? Ditto. I feel you. But so the physicality, component of horses as they get older, that's when you see the boys just that much stronger.
Sure. Grace's Secret, Chelsea Bailey, currently 11-1. To her outside is the favorite, Fan Club, with Florent Giroux. What does he need to do? Break through and graduate in what will be his 6th start here.
He's fast. Florent use the speed that he showed last time to his advantage, or do they find that this horse might be better off kind of sitting back with a target? Obviously, you do have a couple horses stretching out in distance that could be forward in here. He's interesting. I think he ran very well in defeat last time out. But again, you're kind of taking the worst of it as his price is on the shorter side. With some other options in here, I think the 110 gauge is quite interesting.
Gunrunner, Colt 10 gauge, Fan Club towards the outside for Florent Giroux. Brad Cox at his post time. 9th race, live from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Grace's Secret breaks well. So does Fan Club and Serbian Sailor. Orifice is close up. Constitutional Law on the move at the rail. And there's your leader. It's Constitutional Law. Centurion and a Chisholm Trail are next. Then comes 10 Gauge, followed by Good Luck Charm. And the early trailer is Hillman. Constitutional Law sprints clear to the backstretch and opens up a big lead. Constitutional Law 5 lengths in front of Orifice in second. The filly, Grace's Secret, is third, and she's about 6 from the front, joined by Fan Club from the outside. 2.5 further back to Serbian Sailor and Centurion. They've got about 9 to make up. 10 Gauges at the rail with 10 to close. Chisholm Trail 12 off. Good Luck Charm and Hellman is the trailer, and Constitutional Law is the pumped-up leader. Past the half-mile pole, Constitutional Law is 10 lengths in front. Fan Club has cruised up to take over second. Then comes Centurion and Serbian Sailor. Orifice is gone. Grace's Secret backs out. 10 Gauge is trying to unwind. Meanwhile, Constitutional Law still has a big lead to work with. Constitutional Law to the quarter pole, now 5 lengths in front. Fan Club is coming. 10 Gauge is coming. So is Centurion and even Hellman from the back of the pack. They've caught Constitutional Law at the top of the stretch, and here comes Fan Club to cruise by and take over the lead. It is Fan Club into the lane. Now a 2.5 length lead. Constitutional Law, Centurion, and Hellman, but it's Fan Club to the final 16th, and he's got a 4 length advantage. Hellman might get up into second. Centurion is third, and 10 Gauge. Fan Club and Hellman, those are the 2 to the wire, and Fan Club wins. Fan Club won by 2 1/4. Hellman was second, Centurion third, 10 Gauge finished fourth.
Things didn't work out for this team yesterday in the Smarty Jones, but here, Fan Club for Gary and Mary West, Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, an easy runaway score to graduate in his 6th career start.
Oh, it didn't work out well in the last race either for these connections. Full Impact disappointing in the 8th, but Fan Club graduates with aplomb, very easy victory. Runner-up Hellman off that purchase for Team Hollendorfer, blinkers on. I would say an improved effort at 18-1.
Could have sworn I saw the sun pop out on the backstretch for the first time in 3 days at Oaklawn Park.
Can you send it here, please? We haven't seen the sun in quite a while in New York.
Some snow inbound?
Yeah, sounds like snow as well. It's cold now relative to what we saw earlier today. Good thing we're not racing tomorrow, Lafitte.
Yeah, gotta take a deep breath. We'll be back at it next week here at Aqueduct and America's Day at the Races. A very fun New Year's weekend. Thanks so much for joining us on America's Day at the Races. The 3-year-olds yesterday, some exciting racing today where the sun is set. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week for Maggie Wolfendale, Gary Stevens, Andy Serling. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. We'll see you next week on FS2. Thanks so much for joining us today where we saw Bank Sting, heavy favorite, having to work very hard to take down the La Verdad. Now a 6-time winner, 5 of those here at Aqueduct. Big day, Dylan Davis, 3 wins on the afternoon. At Oaklawn, the feature driving finish, whiskey double for that tandem. Ricardo Santana, Steve Asmussen, whiskey double up in time at Oaklawn. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Next time.